All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. We're back. Road America. We're here. Just moved in this morning. We're back in the tour bus. Jimmy got out of bed real early to come here and meet us. So it's looking like it's gonna be a good day. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to ride this weekend, which is a bummer. But I'm here. I'm coaching James, just trying to give him some tips, and that's about it. I'm just hanging out this weekend. Very excited to be here. Jimmy, got anything good going on?
Not too much, man. I went home and I just literally sat on the couch and rode my bicycle and just chilled. So for me, it's like I think we had one test with Harley. We didn't, and just been kind of trying to recoup and just revive from the sorrows of Atlanta and come into Road America, Harley's backyard, and do something. But we've got an exciting guest, somebody who's been around a long time. I always think he's older than me, but I guess he's not older than me.
What the gray hairs? The gray hairs in this beard, man. I don't know. Do you have any grays right now?
You're showing through.
So this guest has been around a long time, has rode a lot of motorcycles, a lot of different manufacturers. He's worked for two of the biggest leather manufacturers as well. Bobby Fong, also known as Bagger Bob.
Bagger Bob.
Thanks for having me, boys. Dude, I didn't know that you're not racing this weekend. I know you're hurt.
Yeah.
But I didn't know you're not racing.
I just started walking yesterday.
How long's the recovery?
I don't actually know. I think hopefully for Brainerd, we'll see.
Yeah.
Everyone says like 6 weeks,
And
but that's what
you
everyone
go
says.
good there too. So
Yeah, I love that place so much.
Do you actually like that place?
No, that place sucks.
I love that place.
You go really good there.
Dude, I like all the weird tracks. So like, I hate Laguna. I hate all like the famous prestige tracks. I just hate them. Hate them all. Brainerd, I like Mid Ohio.
Mid-Ohio's
Mid-Ohio's
fun.
sick. I'm stoked
Yeah,
to go back there.
Pull your thing up just a little bit.
Just angle it towards your mouth just a bit.
There you go.
There you go.
Nice.
I'm not excited to go to Brainerd. I actually wasn't super bummed if I had to miss that one. So I was like, but Road America, I'm bummed to miss, but it is what it is. So, the doctor called me yesterday morning, the day before, and was like, hey, because I sent him my disc from Barber, and he was like, you went on vacation the day it got there, so he didn't look at it the whole weekend. So I'm just like kind of hanging out, waiting on crutches, and I felt like I could walk anyway, but I was just no weight on it for the whole week. And then he texted me. He's like, you're not gonna hurt anything as long as you don't have any pain. You can pretty much do normal activity. Just if it hurts, don't do it. But he didn't want to let me ride. So
it'd be smart. Like I feel like MotoAmerica should have told people like, hey man, there's water seeping up out of that turn you crashed at. I feel like that's nobody knew.
Nobody even asked.
Yeah.
Nobody even actually. Yeah. I don't want to get into it.
I feel like they say like when there's weepers, but like.
Well, no, and it's nothing against MotoAmerica, but like I
No.
feel like since like there was already a few like almost like wad ups there. Like
I thought-
myself almost killed
I
myself.
thought it was
and-
me until like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. On
Then everybody
Sunday,
comes
and then
up to
everyone
you?
comes up like, you didn't know there was water out there? I'm like,
I didn't know either.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Stefano even got me. He's like, man, why'd you do that 2 laps in a row? There was water there. I'm like, how did you know there was water there? Did I miss the memo?
I never saw water.
Is that like a Barber thing though? Because the curb's flat on top.
No, I mean it used to be bad before they repaved it. That it had seepage like through the cracks, right? That used to be the
Yeah,
thing.
but it wasn't. I don't remember it being there. Yeah, I don't remember it ever being there,
Yeah.
dude.
I
But
don't
yeah,
remember
you
either.
got caught out, dude.
Big
It's
time.
unfortunate.
That is what
So-
it is. So, anyway, enough about us. We're stoked to have you. Obviously, you're riding the Superbike this year as well as the Bagger, doing a little bit of double duty. How's that been? It seems like it'd be a lot of work on those doubleheader weekends.
It is a lot of work. But I mean that's why we ride the bike and train. We're all pretty fit doing this stuff. But what I don't like is like on how every session is back to back. That's what kills me. It's like it's not the riding part really. It's coming off the bike, trying to hydrate, getting changed. Dude, getting in a Dainese suit. Yes, they're one of the best companies out there, but it's probably the hardest leather suit and boots to get into.
Yeah.
So long the process to get in and out of that shit. But just every session's back to back. The races are back to back, qualifying, everything. So that's kind of frustrating, but I did it to myself, you know what I mean? But I'm enjoying doing it. I'm enjoying the Superbike side. The Bagger's kind of been another story this year, but
Is it hard? I always wondered this, but is it hard to go back and forth with the like references, shift points, like all that stuff's obviously so much different.
so it is way different, and obviously doing it for back on the Superbike for maybe a year now. Like say I started Superbike again in the middle of the season last year. I'm kind of used to it now, but it's weird. my braking markers for the bagger is pretty damn close to the Superbike.
Really?
Because the bagger's so heavy, right? So it doesn't stop. So in the Superbike's obviously way faster but lighter, so you could stop in a shorter distance.
Yeah.
So my braking markers are pretty similar on both.
That's pretty
Obviously
crazy.
ship points and everything. The bagger's pretty, like I can go on the bagger right now. I'm pretty comfortable with the bagger. The bike hasn't changed. Our setup is the same. I mean, we're not going crazy. We're not factory. We're not
Yeah.
throwing all this stuff out there to try. It's like we have our bike and this is what it is. And we go out and I'm pretty comfortable right off the bat. So I'm pretty comfortable just going out there and just getting up to speed on the thing.
Yeah.
So
And they're pretty fast now, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like
Yeah, and I mean, you've kind of had an unorthodox way because you originally worked for Alpine Star, and then you decided to continue to ride baggers, and then I remember talking with you. Your whole thing was like, I want to get back on a superbike, right?
Yeah.
You should have really never not been on a superbike because of your pedigree,
yeah.
but you were one of the few people that fell with the wrong cards, essentially. So
So-
how did that those 2 years before we kind of go way back? Let's just kind of.
I'll start off from 21. This was 21. I was on the Superbike still, M4. Had a tough 2020. I was good on the Superbike, had good results. I was always up there. 21, we had a struggle, just weird stuff happening, just mechanicals, all that stuff. I didn't have a great year at all. I didn't have a ride. Like I wasn't going to get paid what I would have wanted to get paid for 22. So basically I didn't have a Superbike ride. Basically it was going to be a free Superbike ride. And I was like, I can't do that. You know, I'm in my 30s now. I can't just race for free. You know, I got bills. So the bagger thing came along. So I spoke to Indian. Indian called me, did a test with Indian at Jennings. Early 2022.
Was it just you, or was there somebody else there too?
There
right?
was McWilliams there
There
and
you go.
Tyler. And then basically they were just telling me they want to win. So I'm like, I'll help you be that guy. You know, I'll help try to put this Indian, on top. Went to test for them. Didn't work out. We went fast. Everything was good. Didn't work out with that. So I got demoted to, I wouldn't say demoted, but basically the fit was for me to go to Rolling Sands. Wasn't a factory, but it was on an Indian. So I ended up doing that. But in that little process, I got a job at Alpine Stars through Heath from Alpine Stars, the chief, man, everybody knows the chief. So he hooked me up at Alpine Stars. I ended up moving to Southern California. I was already working with A-Stars. Then this bagger thing happened. Asked Gabrielle, hey, can we race? It was okay. This was when there wasn't that many races, like all this stuff.
It was
like,
easy back.
It was
Yeah.
easy. It was, it was all good. Fast forward, things start progressing. Baggers start getting bigger. I'm getting more busy with A-Stars. I'm on the road for a month or two at a time. I'm driving the damn van. And then, dude,
just living it.
I just
dude, we're just
shitting in the van.
dude, shit in the van, like driving that damn van across country. But the job was wild. It was fun. It was an experience. Fast forward, baggers are pretty big now. Gabrielle wasn't okay with me racing baggers anymore in 23. So again, I had to weigh my options out. And now like baggers pretty big, purse is big. Like the money was good.
Yeah, makes sense
Like
to do.
I would, if everything went to plan, I could basically make a lot more than what I was making at A-Stars. So I'm like, and I want to race. Obviously, I'm still a racer. So I picked racing at the time over basically. We're good? I picked racing over the job. When in the longest story short, like that's basically what happened. Was a lot of back stuff was happening too. But anyways, decided to race the bagger. Still in Rolling Sands. End up getting a job at Dainese because at the end of the day, like obviously, like if you get hurt racing, what are you gonna do? Like who's gonna pay the bills? Like who knows what's gonna happen? And I kind of want to and I like working, dude. Like I feel like I just, as much as I complain sometimes, like, oh man, I'm always so busy or whatever. Like I just kind of like to have something to do other than just like train that day,
Yeah, still.
And it's kind of nice to like know like you have like a backup plan, like even though like you could obviously progress in the company, whatever company you're working for, and just know that you have some health insurance behind you, So ended up getting a job at Dainese, which is cool. A little bit different than what I was doing at A-Stars. I don't have to drive all the time. Kind of a different program they run, but they've been treating me good. It's such a small group of people in the U.S. for Dainese. Not many people know it's such a big company, but it's so damn small. Like there's only for the marketing side, which is me and like 2 other people, and that's it. So but no, but it's good, man. Still racing baggers now. Superbike, pretty busy. But then there's some days I'm not doing nothing, you know? So like I could be so deep, and then all of a sudden I'm like, fuck, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Like I need to do something, you know? I feel like I always need to do something. So
All right. And before we get too much deeper into the podcast, probably should stop and thank our sponsors, right?
Yeah, I guess.
We didn't do it in the intro.
It's all right. We were going to bring it in anyways.
Yeah. Well, nonetheless, we wouldn't be able to do these podcasts without the support of Law Tigers. Law Tigers is America's
lawyers. In the event that you are in an accident, please call Law Tigers, 1-800-LAW Tigers. They've backed us from the beginning, and we've got these really cool cups and stuff like that. So
cheers to those boys.
Right.
Yeah.
If you are in an accident, please call Law Tigers, 1-800-LAW Tigers. They do support the rider. There's no fee to the rider, and they got your back always.
Well, let's go back a bit. History-wise, obviously, you have a flat track background. That's kind of where you started, right? A lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
How long ago? When did you start getting into bikes? When did you get into flat track?
So I lived near the famous Lodi Cycle Bowl growing up. My dad was working at Harley Davidson dealerships as a kid.
Where's that?
Stockton, California.
Stockton.
Stockton,
bad boy.
Stockton,
bad boy.
Yeah, dude.
It's crazy is me and Bagger Bob have totally been racing with each other for a long time. It's like I remember the 50 on the is it the
No,
80?
that was my brother.
Oh yes,
That's why I have my number 50.
okay.
Yeah. So I'll get into that one. I'll get into that. Yeah,
Stockton, California.
Yeah, Stockton. So as a kid, my dad worked at all these Harley Davidson dealerships and all that stuff. And when I was 4 years old, I was always into motorcycles, all that stuff. My dad didn't race. Doesn't have a racing background, but he knew how to work on, Harleys. My grandpa was into Harleys, all that stuff. So at the time when my dad was working at the dealership, there's a guy that lived near Lodi Cycle Bowl, John, call him John. He was like, hey man, you need to bring your kid out to race, because I had a little PW50 riding near the fields by our house and stuff growing up, and ended up going to Lodi Cycle Bowl when I was 5, and then just kind of progressed, man. Just always had help from the local Harley dealerships, and then was always pretty good at it. My dad, even though he didn't have a racing background, he was a really good coach. He's pretty tough on me. It was always tough on me. It was always tough love for sure. If I want to, I wasn't that kid to have friends at the track. Even I had friends at the track, but I wasn't playing in the dirt, riding down the hills on the scooter, getting all wadded up. If I was there, if he was going to give me 100%, I got to be 100%.
You were there to work.
I was there to work. Seriously. He was like, hey, if you want to go play Barbie dolls, go home and play Barbie dolls. Go home and play Barbie dolls with your sister. Yeah. So dude, he literally used to say that. So, but yeah. And then I have 2 younger brothers as well that raced, and they were both pretty damn good. And actually Anthony, who's 3 years younger than I am, was more naturally talented than I was. And then I had Joseph, who was 3 years younger than him as well. So we're all split up 3 years. And Anthony used to be number 50, and we grew up racing together. He was always in, I was either on 85s, he was 65s. And then we both got in 85s, and he was still running the number 50. And I was, I don't even remember what number. I was number 1. No, I don't even know. I don't even think I had a regular number at the time, because it was just the local stuff we did, and ended up going to nationals, and just kind of progressing. And like I said, Anthony was just always more naturally talented than me. He never listened to my dad. He would just kind of do his thing. It was like the Dainese, just had so much natural talent and just can do things on a motorcycle without no training, no nothing. Just go out there. And I'm just my dad's out there with a stick in the middle of the turn trying to hit me to put my foot up, or hey, you need to hold the gas on to this point and don't let off. Serious. He would put a stick out there going into turn 1 at Lodi Cycle Bowl, and he's like, you don't fucking let off the gas until you get to here. Dude, I'm serious.
That makes a lot of sense now. Now knowing how you ride.
Dude. That's how it was. And my brother Anthony, my dad would try to help Anthony. His name is Anthony. And my brother would just stop on the track and just scream at him, I'm not listening to you. I'm going to do it. And he was fast, dude. We got to nationals one year, fast forwarding. It was amateur nationals. This was at Springfield. And we're in the 85s together.
Flat track.
What year? I think was it the year that we all had to go underneath the...
Was this Indy? No, this wasn't Indy. This was Springfield. This was, I think, the first year of Springfield. It was his first year because it was at Indy for a while. the
Yeah,
Grand
I was
Nationals
at Springfield for the
and
first
then-
time, but I remember there were so many red flags in the 85s. They put us underneath the grandstands because it was so hot, and they let other people race to let us cool down. because we
Maybe
were-
I think I don't know if it was that year. It's caught on as all a
you
blur.
was always because you were.
Yeah.
I think you were the number one. Then you brought the number one.
Yeah, I brought the number one there.
From
Yeah.
Okay.
And I remember, so Anthony was in the 85s, right? I had this hot black bike with gold frame and like I had the works, the Honda, right? And Anthony had this fucking old Honda. It was kind of beat up, whatever. We go and do the TT, and this was the main, and I was leading the thing. Anthony passed me. No, sorry. Anthony was leading the whole thing for the last lap. And I ended up taking him out last lap. I was like, fuck, I can't have my brother beat me. Like, I'm the older brother. Anyways, I took him out. I took us both out, basically. And Anthony, if anybody knows Anthony, like, the dude's a fighter. Dude knocks people out. Like, the dude just loved to fight. Didn't listen to my dad. Like, badass on a motorcycle. Just dude had all the natural talent. And anyways, he wanted to kill me after. You know, like, we wanted to kill me. He's over there on the side of the track, and I'm like crossing. Like, he's over the side of the track trying to fight me or whatever. Like during Grand Nationals. But anyways, he had the number 50. He stopped racing a few years later. Got into just working and just like normal adult stuff. And I took his number 50. So that was because I never had a number, like proper number growing up, and it was just kind of like, hey, whatever it was. It was. But he got that number from this this rider named Mark Corsetti. Mark Corsetti was like a local hotshot at Lodi Cyclable, and the dude was badass, like always crossed up, always like. And I remember my brother asking Mark, was like, "Hey, can I have your number? Like, can I use your number?" And he was super cool about it. So I just basically inherited the number after all that. So. Yeah.
Well, was it like your dad always kind of put all his eggs on you? Is that how that worked out? Or
No,
everyone
he
else
didn't
got
put.
burnt out?
No, it was just like nobody listened to my dad. I was the only one that listened. And seriously, like it wasn't like my dad spent every dollar, every dime. Like you hear it from every family, though. You know, when the families put so much money into their kids to race motorcycles, and my dad was basically going to help us all out. You know, Joseph was great too. Like I didn't even mention Joseph. He was always great growing up. He never went to nationals, but he's always did the local stuff. Basically just Anthony just never listened. Basically, it was like he just kind of got over it and just stopped wanting to do it. It wasn't like my dad just like put all the eggs in one basket. It was just he didn't want to do it anymore.
What's your dad's name?
Anthony. Yep. Tony. People called him Tony.
Yeah, I mean, I remember him.
Big
He was a
dude.
big dude.
Yeah.
Because we rolled. I remember we
Yeah.
rolled up. I don't know if it was a supermoto track where it was, but I
Yeah.
remember you on the 50, and
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a supermoto or a dirt track because we went both ways, and I was using the front brake, and I remember you were like the hot shot. Did you ever do supermoto?
Yeah, I grew up. So after flat track, I remember obviously racing you, race James in nationals. That's how I knew all these guys like growing up. It was like James used to battle at James growing up, and it was like the Wymans were there. I mean, like Jesse Janish was there, but he was always in a class higher. I mean, there's so many guys that are still racing that we grew up racing amateur nationals with. It's crazy. Like, and so many fast dudes. Like, dude, you were so fast. I remember, like, the Rocket James was fully, like, growing up, like, it was always just, like, because I didn't know
like a
James super
mythical
person.
figure.
No, it was, like,
Dude,
you
but
always see,
it was
like,
literally the half miles.
Dude.
I would
Phil.
absolutely smoke everybody.
Dude,
like I have a
yeah.
track, and then we go to like these short track
Yeah.
and TTs, and I wouldn't even make the
dudes
main.
wide open, just crossed up in the cushion, like, and it was always, like, the New York boys were always hot shit in the cushions, you know, like, it was
I know,
always,
and if it
yeah.
was a groove, it was always, dude. California.
Feels a groove, like, we lived it, yeah.
That's so funny. So like your dad, like all that stuff, how much of a impact does that have on you? Like, is there still stuff you think about now from then that like your dad kind of like?
My dad's a softie nowadays, man.
Is
My
he?
dad, yeah. I still talk to my dad every day. Like I call him after every session. My dad doesn't go to. He'll go to the one Laguna.
Yeah, I've never seen him.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
I didn't even know you had brothers.
Yeah, no. Now it's like, because every Laguna. One, I hate that place, and I always had bad luck at that place. But like my dad will show up maybe on a Saturday, and he'll see a few sessions, and usually it's always shit, just always shit. So my dad doesn't even say anything really. It's just like, son, I'm gonna go to the, I'm gonna go.
See
I
you later.
understand that. See you. Yeah, so it's not even that he's disappointed in me or
Yeah.
anything. It's just like
He's just embarrassed.
not not even just that. It's just like he's like what the thing is, he doesn't want me to see him have like a sad or upset face. You know what I mean? He doesn't want it to affect me because he's like still the person that will affect me in any way. Like it's your dad, you know what I mean? You don't want to see your dad upset or sad or disappointed or anything, you know? So he doesn't go to many races, not because of me, just he's working and he has, my little brother to take care of, all that stuff. But I don't even know where I was going with that. But yeah, big dude.
Yeah,
don't want to mess with him. Yeah, he's a softie nowadays. That's where I was going with it. I still want
all that stuff that is just ingrained in your.
No, for sure.
Like you're a bitch, Bob, going deeper.
He never called me a bitch, but I tell myself that more. Like,
Yeah,
no,
that's what I mean.
No,
That
that's me.
mindset.
Like, hey, don't be a little bitch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's always just like, and it's kind of, I'm not trying to like say like I'm hard or anything like that, but like growing up in Stockton, and it's not even just like I was in a bad neighborhood. There's good and bad parts of everywhere. It was just like, you just never wanted to take any shit. You know what I mean? You didn't want to disappoint your dad. It's like if some kid's like trying to punk you in school, it's like you can't let that happen. Not because of yourself. You can't let your dad know that you're a little bitch.
Out,
Yeah. You know what I mean?
And like growing up though, it sounds like it wasn't super easy, but it also wasn't super hard. Like you obviously had the talent, but it seemed like you had to work. Like you were a worker bee. Is what it sounds like coming from growing up as a kid. Do you think?
Yeah, it was just like my dad, my dad was like, hey man, you just always got to get 100%. No, that was like always a thing. Like obviously I didn't have it crazy tough. You know what I mean? Like I had, my dad gave me his best and I had some luck along the way and, obviously everything has to come together. But, yeah, it was just like, you just always had to grind no matter what. Like if you weren't going to go and show up, it was like, don't go. You know what I mean? Like, you hear these kids growing up, or like my dad was telling me, he was like, man, he was like, you see these racers growing up and like, the dad says, the kid just didn't have a good day. He didn't have a good day today. That's why he didn't ride. I don't know that. What is that? It was my dad was like, well, my kid doesn't have that. Like, I don't know what a bad day, like, yes, you have bad days, but at the end of the day, it wasn't because like I wasn't giving it 100%. These dads make excuses for kids. Like, yeah, he was just riding around 50% because, he had a tummy ache. It wasn't that way for me. It was like, no, you're sick. You got to go. No matter what, it doesn't matter how you're feeling. And when you're on that motorcycle, you better give it 100%. And that's why this generation's so soft.
It's like, well,
I'm the most insensitive. I'm the most sensitive and insensitive person at the same time.
It sounds like the word you're trying to say is grit. Like you were,
dude. Like
yeah. Like it's like you were ingrained to have grit,
Mm.
and I mean you can see it in your riding, like. Like there's so many races that I saw. I mean, the first one is when you got back on the Superbike and at Brainerd, and you came from fucking, I don't know, 100th place. I don't even like you just came through the field in the last 4 laps.
Yeah, no, you can always you grind it out always.
Yeah, but as you guys know, as racers, like you're racing, you're tired, right? And you're just like you're thinking about like, man, I'm gonna settle in. I'm just gonna settle in. Like I'm good. Like we're good. Like we're just gonna settle in, bring it home. But I always think like, man, what would my dad say? And I'm serious, dude. That's why I was like, man, I gotta go. Like it was like a thing growing up. It was like my grandpa told my dad told me, it was like Fongs don't give up, and I kind of lived by that. As much as it sucks, you know what I mean? Like as much as it sucks, you kind of have to do. It's like I have to do it, and if I don't do that, I'm like can't go to bed that night. You're just like, fuck, man. I was just a little bitch today.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's
Yeah.
true. I mean, I don't think I didn't have that growing up. Like my dad was like very much like, you want to go to the track today? And if I was like, no, I want to hang out. He's like, all right, we'll just go do something else. Like it was like there was none of that like tough like
Yeah.
And I think I've had to learn that almost, just from
Yeah.
like guys like you. It's like, okay, like if that's what it takes, and that's what we gotta like.
It wasn't like I got hit. I never got hit or anything like that.
was
My
no
dad
child
wasn't
abuse.
pushing. No, it wasn't no child abuse like forcing me to do any of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was talking down on me. It was
Yeah.
like, hey man, we're here. I'm basically risking all this stuff, like paying our house mortgage, all this stuff. Like I said, everybody's heard it. But if I'm here doing that, you better give it 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
So-
I can resonate with that. Big Phil was like that, like master of positivity.
Your
but
dad seems like a big softy these days too, man.
he's definitely taken a back step. He's like, but it's very similar. Like I call my dad pretty much after every session. He doesn't even bother me anymore. He's just like won't even. It almost is weird that he won't text, but I mean, Corey knows he sends me 5 motivational videos a day.
Oh, does he?
Oh,
That's
dude,
cool.
like,
Goggins,
dude, Goggins, just
Yeah.
whatever. Just
Yeah.
like he is definitely my biggest fan, and he's I can always. It's the same kind of thing. I can always do the Like
Just
I
go.
know
You're
I,
grind. Both of you guys grind
I
so
d-
hard at the end too. Like you guys are just always just pushing those limits, dude.
we
Like,
have to. I think, but it
but it's
is
something when you get where as a kid.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know what I mean. Like you just don't all of a sudden just come up with that. You know.
Well, it is interesting because, like, I raced with Corey a long time, and I've seen a change in Corey. Like when we first were going to the track, it was a little different. Me and Corey were a little different growing up. Gucci
Yeah.
Corey, and but it's been interesting to see because, but yeah, I can resonate with that. I don't really know. I'm just rambling a bit.
Were your parents together?
Yeah.
Fair
Mom,
enough.
mom and dad are still together. My mom doesn't really come to much races. She's scared for her baby boy, man.
Yeah.
Like like she's a nervous wreck at all times, and like I said, she loves what I do. I still talk to my mom all the time. But my dad was the one that usually goes to the races and stuff. My mom just kind of stays away and, take it. To this day, like literally the last race, I'll talk to my mom before the race. Take it easy, son. It's okay, son. Yes, mom.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
It's interesting too, though. I feel like there's always like either one end of the spectrum or the other with like families and
Yeah.
racing, where it's
Yeah.
like you come to here and there's certain families that like every weekend they're here. It's like the whole family comes.
Yep.
It's like, and then there's other people like you might as well not even have a family in my eyes. Like I didn't know any of this stuff,
It's crazy, but like I said, like me saying like my dad's a softie now, so I have a littler brother too. He's 11 or 12.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, same parents, same. It's crazy. The age gap is crazy, but he's
I'm
in
in
like
the
the
same
little.
boat,
He's
though,
in he's in like little all-star league baseball, and basically like I hear my dad always like I'll go to his baseball games when I'm at home, and I'm like, man, you're gonna let that little bastard talk to you like that? You know what I mean? You're gonna let my little it's like, Dad, you're not gonna say anything. You're just gonna let him just like hang out doing that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have
yeah,
the tough
yeah,
love now.
yeah.
And like my dad's just like, yeah, been there, done that.
Yeah,
Like he doesn't
yeah,
have the
you
juice
lost it.
anymore, bro.
Yeah. No,
funny.
my dad's kind of the same with my little brother. Like my little brother wanted to kind of get into bikes for like a short period of time, like, but he
Yeah.
didn't start riding a bicycle till like way later. And the same thing, he's 14 now,
Yeah.
so younger.
Yeah.
But he got super into like MotoGP and like all this stuff. Like he knows more about MotoGP than I do, and he wanted to ride. But my dad was like, I'm a little bit nervous,
Yeah, yeah.
He doesn't have the most balance. I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about, Dad? Like, just go bring him to the, somewhere, take him go
Yeah.
ride. Like, that's the same thing we used to do. Like, we used to just
Yeah.
go load up and go ride. He's like, I don't think I can handle it. I'm like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about? But it's just, you get old and
Yeah.
worn out, I guess. I don't know. Well, your parents obviously were a big part of getting you there. What was kind of like their biggest, I guess, sacrifices over the year that you feel like were, enabled you to get to where you got to?
I mean, dude, honestly, like I said, I'm just preaching to the choir, and every parent sacrifices stuff to to basically let their kid try to succeed and chase their dreams and stuff. But living in California, having four other siblings now, trying to race a motorcycle and put you into decent schools and all that stuff it's a motherfucker. I could only imagine. I mean, I don't understand the generation now we live in. Nobody could have 4 kids and take them
And race
racing.
motorcycles.
Yeah, I mean, like unless you inherit some money or you have some crazy degree and like I don't know.
No, we were just
but-
talking about you
Bitcoin.
barely have a dog and afford it. It's
Dude, I got a cat and I'm like I live in a shoebox. You know what I mean? Like,
I gotta pay for insurance for my guy. I'm like,
dude,
Jesus
I gotta pay
Christ.
for my cat's insurance.
Yeah.
So
No, it is kind of crazy when you think about it. Like you're like $100,000, you're broke. Like
Broke.
you're literally.
Especially in California.
and
Yeah.
so
Oh,
dude,
no, yeah.
with taxes and
Dude,
stuff.
when I was at Huntington, I was like, guys, we gotta slow down. like I can't get coffee every morning. I can't freaking go to Gaioku or whatever it's called every day. I'm like, dude, it's like, dude, lunch is like $80. I'm
No,
like,
it's crazy.
bro.
But that's like everywhere. You go grocery shopping, you're spending $100.
Oh, easy.
Get toilet paper and towel, $100.
Oh, 100%. Dude.
I walk in anywhere and it's a hundo.
Yeah.
Like if I don't spend $100 a day, it's a good fucking day.
Dude,
You know
I
what I'm
was going
saying?
through. I was going through my expenses not long ago with my old lady. I'm like, fuck, what am I spending my money on? Dude, it's half of it's food. Literally, it is food. Like, dude, there's so much good food.
Especially traveling.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
It's
traveling.
like all you got to look forward to is good
yeah.
food.
I'm on the Dainese card while traveling, so it's kind of, dude.
Sick.
Honestly, I live a good
Expensive.
when I'm at the races and stuff. Since I'm working,
We'll cut this out.
yeah. Since I'm working and racing, dude, like every food,
Yeah.
hotels, travel. Dainese.
Yeah.
Sick.
Well,
So-
that's where you kind of
Yeah, but they don't pay me that much though. You know what I mean? So this is the fucking least they can do.
You know.
Cut that out.
bad.
Cut this out. Yeah. So,
What? So how did you end up with a 11-year-old brother? If you want to talk about it, I know.
no, basically, my mom, she wanted another kid. I believe she wanted another girl. So, because I have one older sister, I'm the second. Yeah, I have one older sister.
What's the
How
what's the
many,
age?
how many people do you have in your family, dude?
5 in total.
Okay.
What's the age? What's the
5
age
in
gap?
total. So my sister is 3 years older than me. I'm 32. Anthony's 3 younger than me. Then Joseph 3 younger than him, and then the fucking big gap to Jonathan. His name Jonathan, and he's 12, 11,
That's
12.
crazy.
Yeah.
So your parents started young then, obviously.
Oh yeah, I was basically like a teenage baby. So yeah.
That's so crazy. It's the same thing for me though. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't realize, but my mom was like 16 when she had me. So
Yeah.
like the gap for me, my youngest sister's 10.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. Yeah. Like, yeah, you see nowadays, like, you can't have kids when you're in your teens. You know what I mean? Like,
No, we talk about it all the
Yeah.
time. My mom's on my ass all the
Yeah.
time about having
Yeah.
kids. I'm like,
dude.
if I was her at my age, I'd have 5 kids already. I'm like, there's no shot I could have 5. I couldn't even have,
Crazy.
yeah.
Crazy.
Can't imagine having one
But,
kid, but
yeah, no. So Jonathan, he tried to race a little bit, but he didn't. I mean, he was good, but he didn't. So this younger generation is just soft, man.
you
He
didn't
just
have it.
soft. We went to. So my dad took a different route. We didn't take him flat tracking, took him to the motocross, like, because I've always wanted to be a better motocrosser, but like I feel like if you don't grow up motocrossing, you could be good, but you don't have that steez. You know what I mean? It's harder to go faster, obviously, than anything in life when you start older.
Yeah.
So my dad wanted to basically bring him up through the motocross route. So we got him like, go and do all the local motocross tracks. And his first race on his Pee-wee or not Pee-wee, his Cobra, whatever. He had a Cobra.
Those things are death traps, by the way.
Dude, by the way, how gnarly motocross is. Like, they're on the gate. So we're at the first motocross. This was a few years ago, 4 years ago, whatever it's been. And there's like 50 Cobras on the grid, right?
Gang,
Gang, gang, gang. And I'm standing there with my dad. My dad's like picking it up and like
Clearing it out.
clearing it. And I'm fucking nervous to death, dude. Like, I'm nervous. Next thing you know, I look at my little brother. He's crying.
You're like, stop crying, you bitch.
I'm like, Dad, he just doesn't have it, Dad. He doesn't have the fucking juice. And what happened, dude? But I'm nervous too, though. You know what I mean? Like, he goes to it's like, I'm like, Jonathan, like, because in practice he was going good. Like, he was doing good pace, and to the race, man, fucking crying on the grid. Next thing you know, he's going to the turn 1, just whoosh. It's like me when I see rain, dude. Just chop throttle, and that was it. The race was done.
Game over.
And ever since then, my dad was like, fuck,
He doesn't
baseball
have
it is. Yeah. Yeah. It's a great baseball player, though.
That's
yeah.
good. Hey,
So,
Yeah.
how did you transition to road racing after? Like, so you said you did a little bit of supermoto. You came from the dirt track ranks.
Yep.
Was it in your family to kind of follow like the Nicky Hayden path that everybody types, to follow? Or
Yeah.
how did you make that switch to pavement?
So, younger, I was always good on TTs. I've always liked to go right. Like, loved rights. Fuck lefts. I like rights. Like, I was great. Like, and that was always kind of the path. And as a younger kid, obviously, like, road racers where people made the money. It's like, hey, like, that's what I want to do is road race, And I remember as a kid, my dad asking Chris Carr, his dad, and was like, hey, what do you think about road racing? Da, da, da. And then I remember Chris just kind of having some shitty comment to say. It was like, stay away from it. Don't do it. Can't succeed. Telling my dad this. I think it was either Jerry Carr or Chris Carr. One of the two. It was one of the cars. And basically it didn't turn us down, but it was just like the negative comment about road racing from Chris, But I started flat tracking, and then we went to Supermoto at Supermoto USA, like NorCal stuff. And then I was also I got sponsored by Derby. So Derby 50. So I was doing like mini road racing. And this is when I started riding with Bobier, Elena Myers, all that stuff. And we mini road race together.
This was like 2006, 2007.
No, dude. My first professional road race was 06. Oh, fuck. Think about that. No, this was before then, dude. This was like, I don't know, 4 or 5.
Okay.
So, no. 02.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
So how old were you then?
Dude, I don't know, man. 9, 10, I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. My first road race,
Supermoto was
I
big
just
then,
turned 15.
Okay.
Maybe not even 15. I might have even been 14. I don't even know. It was some really young. I lied about my age. And I was my
You're still
first...
lying about your age.
yeah.
The math ain't mathing right
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
one,
not,
9
yeah.
years old. I'm like,
Dude,
shit.
no, dude, So basically, I used to race with Cameron and Elena, like doing supermoto mini road race and stuff in NorCal. And then we hired a manager, Jim Doyle, who is Kenny Senior's manager. This dude is old. When he was my manager, he was like 75, right? And at the time, I was just transitioning into AFM, and we just went straight balls deep. We went straight to a 1999 R6. Just a kid riding an R6. First track day, wadded that thing to pieces. I was also on 20-year-old tires, but but in that time, I was racing AFM, super young on a R6. Then, got help from like a local, basically it was called Stockton Moto. They helped me out with a newer R6 and hired this manager. We met Kevin Hansen at Willow Springs, California when I was a kid. And there was a race there. Ended up racing that weekend. Kevin Hansen flew out after I hired this manager, Jim Doyle.
Who's Kevin Hansen?
Kevin Hansen is the owner of Safety First Suzuki.
Okay. Which was a big team.
That was the big team.
Yeah.
That was a police team, and Tony Myron was on it at the time, and Opie Kaler. And basically, after that one round, was like, hey, you got the job. So 07, I got that basically that
You
round.
ran the 911, right?
That was a 911. And damn did I wad up some stuff that year. It was me and Scotty Ryan. You know Scotty Ryan.
Oh yeah, he's the Owens guy.
Yeah. So we were teammates that year. And we ran Michelin tires, and that was my first. And dude, like the amount of money they spent that year. I had 4 bikes.
I remember.
Four
dude.
set, dude. Like my first pro year, like I got peanuts. I didn't get paid or anything like that. We had 4 bikes, 4 setup bikes. Jim Rashid is my crew chief. Kevin Hansen and Owen Weichel was a Canadian Superbike champ. He was like my riding coach. And dude, we went through 3 bikes a weekend, just ride them off. Just here you go, more bikes, dude. And we're the only ones on Michelin's. We were the test dummies that year. Like, I mean, there were
And this was in the tire war.
Yeah, but we weren't in the war.
No, I know.
We didn't even make it to the war.
Yeah, this was in the tire war there.
Like, dude,
when Dunlop was.
No offense, Michelin. I know you stepped it up, but we didn't even make the show. Like, it was crazy. Like, you go out there, cool. First lap at Daytona, high side of the moon. Like, dude, it was crazy.
What was your expectation at that point? Like, when did you kind of like? Obviously, you had a manager, so you had some expectation that this is like, okay, we're.
Well, first things first was trying to beat my teammate. So, that was obviously it's everybody's goal, beat their teammate. So that was my first goal, and then to try to make it into the top 10. And then actually we had some good runs that year. Like, it was not bad. And then I got the ride for 08. I was on the same team, but we switched to Pirellis. And that's when everything changed, when we switched to Pirellis, and everybody was in the class. I mean,
it was deep.
You name it, they were there. And
there was 10 factory bikes.
Yeah, easy. Yeah, I remember getting that year. I remember battling for top 6s and getting on the qualifying 4th was like my highlight, and battling for the podium with Rapp, Eslick, and Chaz Davies at Laguna one year, or that same year.
For context, Suzuki had like 3, like just under non-factory
4, I think.
But it was Matsushima. It was.
Well, no, Yoshimura was 1.
Yeah, they had a 600 team.
They had the 600 team.
Matsushima, which was police.
Police. They had Hooters, but Hooters was way down there.
Corona
and then they had
right?
They had Corona. Yeah, Corona.
But then they went Honda.
And then Kerry Andrews had another Suzuki team as well, but I forget who rode for
That's
them.
insane. So like back in the day, you think about I remember it because we came up the Suzuki pipeline, and it all just like it was like.
Yeah,
everybody was gone. Because I remember the Matsushima deal. Because I went to Mid Ohio one year as a kid, like trying to look it up, and I literally remember what you just said. There was like 12 600s, and it was like, how is there this many bikes?
And this was like, dude, to get in the top 20, the names in the top 20 were just insane, dude. Like, I mean, the DeSalvos, the Haydens, like, it's just hacking. I remember crashing in 07. I've never been a hacking fan because, again, it was first lap VIR. I was on the Michelin's, wadded my brains out, red flag, right? And I just remember hacking rolling by. Like I'm fucking licking my wounds on the ground. You know what I mean? Like, I'm licking my wounds and he's just like flipping me off, like, because obviously he got the whole shot and was gonna win the thing. But I've never been a hacking fan ever since.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
But my question, I guess, is like growing up. At what point did you guys make that commitment to like, okay, this is like the path? Like
That was
we're
always
going
the plan. It was always the plan
from the get go.
From the get go,
You
it
were
was
gonna be a
always the
racer.
plan. I was gonna be a road racer. You know, just from the
And they
TTs.
plucked you young,
Yeah, no, it was
right
good,
at
like,
16, right?
Yeah, dude, it was from the get go. Did the supermoto, mini road racing, and it was all to be a road racer.
Okay.
Yeah, I got out of the flat track game early, like super early.
And that was your dad's kind of decision, like just kind
That
of
was always
looking-
just the kind of the goal, you know what I mean, with like the local sponsors in Stockton, my dad, myself, like it was always kind of the goal to be a road racer.
So,
you know?
and for back in the day, like at that time, like a manager would probably be pretty key because there was so many rides and so much available. When you say hire,
Well, dude, it was nothing. Basically, he did
Okay.
it for nothing.
just to
Basically,
try to
what
get,
he did was if I made anything, he would get, I think it was 10, 15% or whatever it was. It was nothing. This dude was like, like I said, I don't even remember how I got introduced to him. It's been so long, Jim Doyle. And I remember it was like he wanted me to be his like last person he managed. He was already older, way older. Like I said, he managed Kenny Sr., all that stuff. And it was more of a favor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At the time, I was just some chunky kid with a mustache. You know what I mean?
I remember that dirt
Yeah,
stash.
dude. Yeah.
Dude, I remember that dirt stash.
Yeah, I was just a turd sandwich, and that dude actually kind of groomed me to like start working out because he was like 70 something, running up all these hills, and like he's a fit old man. And I remember I'm just sitting there eating a burrito, and just and he would just look at me shaking his head, you know, like yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
it's so funny. And then so your safety first deal for like put it in context. You said you got paid peanuts. Did you get any
Nothing,
money?
I got contingency.
Okay.
Yeah, I got
And a contingency was good back in the day, but it was so hard to get.
Well, yeah, dude. Fuck, you're really not getting nothing if you're getting 8th, 10th place. You know what I mean? Like, and cause like I said, the lineup was just crazy. So, I think I made a little bit contingency from Suzuki, and I don't remember how much. I was still basically getting paid nothing. I had multiple jobs too growing up as well while still racing. I worked in a motorcycle dealership, worked at a Harley dealership, but I was more just like the bus boy, fucking mopping floors and changing tires and stuff. Then I worked for a commercial door company called R&S Erection. You know, doors go up and down. Doors go up and down. And they did everything, fab work. They did gates, security system, everything, basically putting up huge commercial doors, garage doors. You name it, they did it. I worked there and took it on the chin for a long time, just getting beat down from, my lead workers, cause I didn't know shit, but Scott Hall, the guy who used to help me out in racing, like, throw us a bone with some tires and fuel and stuff. He gave me the gig, got a lot of experience, learned a lot how to work a tool and how to, turn a screwdriver and stuff, and did that for like 3 or 4 years while I was still racing, going out through the league. And I still have nightmares about that job. But it helped me, man. It helped me survive. Like I was on my own, making my own money since I was 16.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I didn't need, like, obviously I needed a roof over my head, all that stuff, like the basics, but I was making my own money as a kid, I couldn't rely on my parents, like just couldn't do it.
Yeah, not at that point.
Mhm.
As we ask everyone, but were you in school at that point?
Yeah. Well,
Public school?
half and half. We took high school, I think it was sophomore year, we decided to just go, it was called independent study. It wasn't completely homeschool. Basically what they do is you go to school once a week and they don't teach you shit, and they just give you a stack of papers to figure it out.
Yeah.
And it was like I go home and I'm like, I have no idea what is happening right now. Like, and I would try to basically get everything done like the night before. And it was so much work. It was like so much work to do, but we did it. So, and that was that. It's terrible, but and honestly, it was kind of good. One, because as much as like there's good and bad parts of Stockton, like it was weird stuff. Like it was, being public schools in general, I know are just gnarly. Like they're just bad. Like they're
Yeah.
just straight bad. Every time you see something on TV, it's like some kid shot up the school or some kid got beat up. And they used to have, when I was in school, from freshman year, it used to called White Wednesdays. And it used to be these black people basically had like they would have video cameras and they would see this little innocent white kid and they go into basically the bathroom and beat the shit out of him and record it. This was going on for like
horrible.
a half year
No shit.
in school. Yeah, called White Wednesdays. But it was crazy. Like the schools that I was like super segregated. It was like the Mexicans, the local gangs here. It was like fucking prison.
That's crazy.
Never been to prison, but it was like something like that. And it wasn't like, and that was the better school. Like I think, I'm not saying anything bad about Stockton, but it was just like, that's just the way of schools, you know, like that's how it was.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's a secret. Stockton's like a tough place, right?
Yeah, but I
Generally
mean,
speaking.
but like I said, I wasn't like, I wasn't in drive-by shootings. I wasn't in a bad neighborhood. My parents, like, I wasn't just eating cup of noodle every day. Like my parents did their best to like, you know, provide for all of us. But that's how the schools were, man. It was just a different
And that's
era.
high school for you?
That was high school.
That's insane.
Yeah, that was high school. So, and actually, I got caught out. Like as much as, you know,
Did you ever get beat up?
never got beat up, man. I know how to work this thing, bro. But I started hanging out with the wrong crowd too at that time. It's like, you know, say racing actually kind of helped me kind of get out of that rut.
Yeah, keep
I
it
wasn't doing bad shit. It was just like I was just hanging out with the wrong crowd. Started ditching school, hanging out with these kids, just like going to the park and hanging out. It's like, fuck.
straight. Smoking cigarettes.
That's one thing I didn't do, dude. One thing I remember. So freshman year, started hanging out with these bad group of dudes, like just bad as in just like ditching school, didn't go to school, right? And I remember my dad right before I was walking out of the house one day to go to school. I remember my dad was like, I was up to no good doing something, either ditching school or something. I don't remember. And my dad just like looks at me. And this was the one time I got the backhand. My dad's a big dude. It was like, and just his voice scares the living hell out of me. Like he doesn't even need to do anything. That's why I never got like, there was no physical abuse as a kid, but it's just his voice. Like, dude, you hear his voice. I'm scared to death to hear his voice now if he yells at me, you know, but it was that one backhand that changed the game for me. Busted lip, everything, you know, like just the
What'd
one.
you say? Like what'd you say?
I didn't say anything. Just took it on the chin, cried. That was it.
But why? What was?
It was
did he
because I was
know?
no, it was because he knew I was hanging out with the wrong crowd. I was doing dumb shit, you know, skipping class, all that stuff. Just a kid, you know, being a punk kid with a mustache, dude. Just a worm with a mustache, man.
I can't
Yeah.
wait to absolutely because we have a picture of it.
Do we?
Yeah,
All right, I
Bo's
love it.
got it.
I
It's
love
the
it.
best picture ever, and it's coming out.
Oh, is it?
It's gonna be the cover.
So did you ended up graduating though? You got through
Yeah,
it,
I
the
did
whole
all of
independent
that.
study
If you
deal?
call it graduating, I barely did, but yeah,
You got a
did
big-
that stuff.
Do you feel like, you know, staying in public school that long gave you some different perspective though? Like, you know, I know for me, I graduated, went to public school all the way through, and I think like you definitely get a little bit of a different background or just different understanding of different people. And like obviously racing is a small community, so if it's like all you know is racing people, you don't really get that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you got a little bit more?
Yeah, because I was working too, you know, like right out of like maybe senior year, but it was good that I didn't hang out like at public schools, honestly. And because I was always gone too, like racing, like me and my dad was always doing something or training, doing something. And I feel like it was good to get out of school. Just because of the shit going on in schools,
Yeah.
you know?
Did the other kids know that you were like
Yeah.
trajectory?
Yeah, kinda. I mean, as kids, you're just like, oh, you're just not going to school to ride your motorcycle, huh? It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, man, I guess, you know, but I'd probably been a lot smarter if I would have stayed in school, you know, but, you know, it helped me out. I felt like, you know, and yes, you do only know your racing community, but I also work the jobs, you know, so you meet people outside of the racing world and, you know, just did other things too, you know?
But I also think like going to public school has benefits. Like I truly believe like seeing the stuff you saw like also gave you skills to not be involved in it, and be like, do you know
be
what I mean?
aware.
Be aware of the situations. You see kids that now that like don't go to public school that just have no idea of danger.
It's
You know,
it's
you know what I
crazy.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's no sense of aware of like, hey, this is probably a bad scenario. They're so like just so innocent and just sheltered, I guess.
So my wife, basically, she's a perfect example. Like, I'll say like, hey, have you done this, seen this, or heard of this? It's like she's so green to like life. Sometimes I'm like, fuck, I can't believe that I've witnessed and done this and just crazy stuff that like just growing up, one there, going to like the public schools there. It's just like the generation and just like it's crazy at what like I feel like I've kind of seen and been there, done that as much as I know everybody kind of says that, but I feel like I have, you know what I mean? Just like just all the stuff I've either seen or done or just kind of just growing up, man.
Yeah.
I'm still growing up, but yeah.
A lot of different perspective. I think.
Yeah.
I do think though, like it's true. I think racing. I talk about it with my girlfriend all the time. Like, if I didn't race and growing up where I grew up, still going to public school, like I don't know necessarily where I would have went with life.
Yeah.
Like it could have very easily, if you don't have like that one like kind of like light at the end of the tunnel type of thing, like dragging you in that direction, like what the other directions could have looked like.
Yeah.
And you always think, okay, I'm a good person. I wouldn't have done bad shit or something like that. But it's also like,
It only takes one person to feel like to drag you in a spot, and then you just start going around in a circle. And if there is no, like, if you just go and work somewhere in your town, you never leave. I think that's one of the biggest things. The number one thing I think racing does is being able to travel out of your state to see a different, if you want to call it culture or whatever, like just to see like different, like when we always used to come, like, dude, like the Californians versus the northern, like it was a way different vibe. You know what I mean? And it was always interesting to understand. And I remember when I went and stayed with Chad and at his house, and it's just it's
man.
different.
Especially where Chad lives in the Bay Area,
Yeah.
dude. It's just different. And I'm a big believer in you are who your friends are. I'm a big believer in that. Like you see these good people hanging out with these shitbags. They're gonna become that shitbag. You know what I mean? So, and what was cool for me was obviously the racing brought you to all these different places. I've stayed in a lot of different states for periods of time. So I got to learn how to acclimate in different environments, different cultures, all these different people. I stayed in Florida for a while. I stayed in Madison, Wisconsin for a while. Lived in Atlanta for a while. Lived in SoCal. Lived in NorCal. I kind of lived and been there already. So I kind of got used to different things and how people work and stuff like that. And that's what's most people know me. People think some people, I'm like, oh man, he's like just like he's a shitbag. He doesn't want to talk to you. And I get along with most, like literally 99% of the people I could get along with, because you just growing up, everybody's different. You just kind of change how you say things and change how you do things around certain people. Like you could be corporate one day, you could be a shitbag the next day, and you could just be in the middle the next day. It's like you just always, you just got to change with the program, man.
From obviously going into those first few years as a pro, like at what point did you make any money? Like how long did it take you? And this is a different time even. So like
I kind of missed that proper window.
Really?
You know what I mean? And I'm not, I missed that. I never got that lucky. And I'm like, I'm not trying to do this podcast, be like, oh, pity me. I missed out on the money. I didn't get those factory rides.
Yeah, but it was big money. Cause like I missed it too.
I
like
just missed it by a year.
Because 08 was it.
And they just, and that everybody that was in that top 5 on factory bikes got the last of the money.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm trying not to like say, oh, pity me. I had it rough growing up, but it was like, to be completely honest, I mean, obviously that's why we're doing this. We're just trying to get to the nitty gritty. I didn't have those factory shots like a lot of these guys did. I never got those opportunities where even if I missed that, the window of the big money, I still never got the, the proper ride to even get that money.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I was on these privateer teams all the way up until today. Like to today. I can't really ever say like M4 like is my closest thing to ever having a factory ride. But obviously M4 does everything in house too. So, which I am definitely grateful for. But I'm grateful for all the rides I've had because that's who made me the rider that I am to this day. You can't just be handed all the good shit and just trying to beat all these people on lesser stuff. I feel like that's what kind of made me who the rider I am today. It's like you just got to make do.
Yeah. Gritty.
You know, just it's grit. So yes, I did miss that window. I always made do, like, for whatever I was getting. So, you know, if I was making peanuts, I would have the job at home to try to get by, or somebody helping me, or, you know, I would live on contingency, just something. And I was obviously at my parents' house a lot of the time too, growing up. So I didn't have overhead to pay for or anything like that. So, but I could pay for my food, pay for my travel, all that stuff.
So what's the stopgap between safety first and kind of like where I guess I saw you was Robbie Robertson DNA. Like so like there's a little window there that kind of goes missing where
So-
what happened there?
There was flashes. There's always flashes. There's always like, you know, so here we go. 07, 08, safety first Suzuki. 09, didn't have a ride. Rode for Scotty Van Hock and Paradigm Yamaha
Yep.
for a certain amount of races. But I was battling for top fives in every race I did, and it was only like 4 or 5 that year. I was supposed to get the Paradigm Yamaha. At the time it was Paradigm. I was filling in for Damian Cuddlin.
Yeah, okay.
And this was with Perry Melmanchuk, right? So I was after 09 of battling up front on that bike, and that is at the end of 09 when I rode that R6. It was Graves built. That was the easiest bike I've ever ridden to this day to go fast.
They had amazing bikes.
It was the full Morelli on an R6, and I'm like, these guys are cheating. Like, it is so easy to go fast on that bike. And it was top 5. The last race, New Jersey, all the heavy hitters, 09, passed for the lead, watered my brains out. Doesn't matter. It was my claim to fame at the time. You know what I mean? Like, for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, I got this ride. 2010, I have this ride. Next thing you know, Dane Westby, Clinton Seller,
Yeah.
$250,000 each.
Project
Got that
One.
ride. Project One, Atlanta. Peanuts, nothing. DNA energy drink. That's 2010.
Okay, so that's Robbie Robertson.
That's Robbie Robertson.
He spent some cheds too.
Yep.
Because that's right down was right down the road from where I'm
Yeah.
living now.
I know. And I'm not trying to say pity me, but I'm just giving you this is the facts. Multiple podiums that year. Race
Jake Holden
win.
was your teammate.
Nope.
Oh, that's the
Michael
year.
Beck.
Michael Beck.
2011. Oh yeah, I for sure have this ride. I got wins for this team. I got podiums.
Were you making money?
I'm trying to think, was I making money? No, I wasn't making any
Nothing.
money. No,
Just a free
contingency,
ride.
and I was still working. I was still working the construction stuff.
Oh shit.
And that was on Ducati, right?
That was on Ducati. That was my the closest race win in history with Martin Cardenas that year.
This was DMG era, right?
DMG.
Yeah.
Yep, DMG was 09.
Rolling
was the
starts, baby.
Yeah. No, 10 they didn't do the rolling starts.
Yeah, no, just
09 they did though.
yeah.
So I'm thinking for sure 2011 I have a ride. No, Bree Poland takes over the program.
Joey Pascarella.
Yeah,
Jake
she's
Holden.
close with those 2 riders. I get clipped. Cut bait. No ride 2011. At home, doing nothing, working. So, didn't have a ride in 2011. Fast forward. Amin Sajati, Mean Motorsports. Hey, you want to race? Fuck yeah. Race. We get some great support that year. Multiple podiums. I don't think I ever won with them, right? I don't think I ever won. Multiple podiums that year. Did great.
Was Jake a part of your team yet?
Nope.
That's the next year.
This is just me.
Yep.
I put that, like, I helped. Would they put me back on the map? We put each other back on the map, just the map in general. Great season 2012. Battle with Cam, Bobier, like, great. Gerloff got multiple podiums. Fast forward 2023. They offered me a contract, Mean Motorsports. And they were like,
2013.
2013, sorry. Then they're like, we want to offer you a contract for this season. You know, you're going to have Graves bikes, all this stuff. But I didn't believe them. Because I didn't. They always say you're going to have the stuff. You're going to get the factory stuff.
Yeah, it never, especially
never that way.
especially with Chuck.
Well, they said that in 2012 I had the same stuff. But yet that I know I'm not on the same stuff because I'm riding with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
quit lying to me, man. Like, where do you like? I've been around a long time, man. I'm not
Yeah.
an idiot. So I denied that contract. I got with Richie Morris and
Was that Geico?
Steve Bright or something like that. Yeah, no, this was Triple Crown.
Oh wow.
They offered me a salary.
Yep.
I had Richard Stamboli as my data guy. I had old factory Honda chassis mechanics. I had Cornwall.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude,
Yeah, they were
my
spending cheddar.
Sick team.
was legit. Like, off-season testing on that R6. Like, because I didn't want to be on the same bike as Graves. I wanted to beat them. That was mine. Like, I don't want the same thing. I want to beat those guys. Because I know, like, even if I beat them, I'm not going to be on the Graves program. How many times I've spoke to Graves Yamaha over my career, and they just talk to me, and then they're just like, nope, I'm going to go to the next guy.
Yeah.
It's like...
They were always about young talent, too.
Yeah. So I knew I wasn't going to be in that thing, and they had 2 good riders already who are young. You know what I mean? I'm not going to take their spot, and that's just not going to happen. So anyways, Triple Crown only lasted 1 round. Podium in Daytona, cut bait. Folded.
Team did, right? Yeah.
Yep. No ride. Who comes to the rescue? Robbie Bobby.
Oh yeah. This is Triumph.
First year this new model Triumph came out. Robbie Bobby. That fucker. It was me and Robbie and my good buddy JD Rashid. And Robert Ward ended up coming involved a little bit later that year. Because I worked with Robert in 2013 as well.
And for people that don't know, who is Robbie Bobby at this time?
Robbie Bobby was just, he's in the flat track world. He's just a kook in the pits, man. He rides fucking great, helps people out, D&D cycles.
Down
Him
in
and his
Florida, right?
down in Florida, Pensacola, Florida. Helped a lot of racers, still helps a lot of racers. Dalton Gautier. I mean, he saved me. I mean, for sure, that dude saved me. So, he got a Triumph, and like, dude, we had nothing. Our first race was this here at Road America. And it was after Daytona. So I think it was like a 6-week break at the time from Daytona to the second round as Road America. And dude, we just had the bike. Like, dude, I don't even think we had a toolbox. I'm kidding, dude. Like, we had to like borrow tire warmers, all this stuff. And we showed up this weekend, and we were competing. A lot of teams are on Triumphs that year. It was like George Ladis with DeSalvo, Landon Myers, Kenny Reedman.
I think DeSalvo put it on pole here. Remember, I think that year
It wasn't here, but he did get
Okay.
multiple poles that year.
because I remember that guy was just like, sorry to just side note that guy could roll around like 45 seconds off the pace,
Yeah.
and then just go purple,
Yeah.
and just put and you're like,
He was the king of one-lap wonders,
what
dude.
the
Yeah.
fuck?
He was
How
the
do you
king
do
of
that?
one-lap wonders. So race of Robbie Bobby that year, and actually ended the season with the podium on that thing. And that bike had a lot of problems that year, a lot of ECU problems. But after that year, racer George latest 2014 was with George on the Triumph from 14, 15 on the Triumph. Had good runs both years, and then 16 we
Proper
went-
program too.
Yeah, it was great. George is great. Got paid $30,000.
That was like your
salary.
first salary.
That was actually like my first. Well, the Triple Crown was supposed to be my proper first salary, which was at the time I think it was only 40. And I'll talk numbers in here, boys. Don't worry. I'll talk numbers.
No secrets.
People need to know.
Did you have per diem? Because George was always a per diem guy.
Nope.
Okay, so you just got. Did you have to pay for your travel, or did he?
No, I did. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
he treated you a little bit better.
Well,
I think after all the complaints, he might. After all the complaints,
I was
from
like
me.
the one of the last. I mean, Max
Yeah.
has got it now, but yeah.
Yeah, it was a 30,000 salary.
I
But
almost rode for him that year in 2013.
did
I
you?
was gonna
Yeah.
ride for him, and then I ended up staying.
You know, at
with-
the time, I think I
between-
remember.
yeah.
I remember it was you were gonna probably ride for them. I remember your
Yeah.
name getting thrown
because
around.
Fox was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then we went to the 2016. We went to did the stock 1000 with George, and that was the first year of stock. That was the first proper year. Gagne did it like the first stock, like officially like stock 1000, and
when
then
it was combined.
when it was combined.
still combined when
No,
you
it
did
was
it.
still combined. Yeah. So and then Gagne won it the first year. That was when I was still in 600s, and then I ended up going with them in 16 on the Cowie, and the contingency was really good that
Sick,
year.
yeah.
Yeah.
So up until that point, you just super sport, always
Super
guy.
Sport, and then 1000 was 2016 and 17, and then we had 2 solid years.
Yep.
Two
Yeah, I remember you ripping on
solid
the
years. Yeah, it had multiple Superbike podiums on the thing. It was great. And then 2018
Was that sponsored by Quicksilver?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then 2018 didn't have a ride. George is out. Cut bait is done. All right. Fuck. What do I do? No teams really.
And this was 2018's like kind of probably some of the lowest of road racing at the time, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah, I mean, I think
It's starting to come back, but it was pretty. There wasn't a lot going on. If I
Yeah.
remember right, there wasn't a ton of rides.
there wasn't a ton of rides. And then Hudson, new team, Southern California, Hudson. Hey, do you want to race for us? What do you got? We'll offer you $40,000 an R1 Rocky Stargell built R1. Did that. Lasted half season. Had some okay runs on Superbike, but I mean, a little team running Superbike is tough, man.
Yeah.
It's just tough.
on a
I
true
mean,
Superbike or
on a true
their
Superbike.
version
Yeah,
of a
it's
true
just
Superbike.
tough.
Yeah.
We had some good runs. Like we did have some good runs on that thing. Lasted only half season. Obviously I didn't get the full 40. So I was rideless, right? And then Cam Peterson was racing for the Broster Chicken Honda team. He ended up hurting his foot at Sonoma. I think his foot got caught in swing arm or something. Something happened like that. Danny Walker, $5,000 a weekend. You could race the bike for the last 3 rounds. Fuck. All right. I'll go into my savings account that I've been saving my whole entire life. And yeah, I'll pay $5,000.
Oh, you got to pay. They're not paying you.
No, I had to pay because I was desperado.
Yeah.
You know, like I was desperate.
And is this the first time that you've actually paid for a ride though?
Ever.
Yeah. Okay.
Ever.
That's kind of interesting to say.
Me and my dad hasn't paid for racing since I was 14 years old. Ever. Never paid a dollar. This is the first time I was ever that desperate. I'm like, I'm going to pay my own money. I actually got help from some local guys I know in Stockton. Like gave me like 2,000 here, 3,000 here to like get me to those rounds. So I finished the season with Broster Chicken on the Honda. Got to know the crew. Danny was great. Like the whole team was great. You know, I didn't get on a podium on that Honda. We struggled a little bit, but we had some flashes of brilliance and I had a good time. Good learning experience. 2018, obviously now, Broster Chicken's done after that year. They already said they're not racing in 2019. Right. Now I'm rideless again. If you're a racer, you know, like the struggle every year to get a ride or what you're going to get paid is the most stressful thing in the entire world. I don't have to deal with that anymore because I have a job. So if I don't race anymore, I still got some income, which is half of the reason
and
why
you
I
can
work.
kind of sit on the sidelines and wait for a good job.
Yeah, so that's kind of, I mean, that's one
I
of the,
mean,
yeah.
at least, you know, people know your pedigree.
I was just over living that life, man. Like every year you're dying. Like, man,
And it's not even every year,
stress.
dude. It's like 6 rounds in.
You're
If
like-
there's a 10 race series
Yeah.
or 12 rounds, you're like halfway through the season, you're like chomping. If you're doing good, you've got a better shot. If you're not doing well, like, I don't want to say you're making up excuses, but somebody's pointing the finger somewhere to try to convince somebody else to give you a ride.
Yep.
It's pretty terrible.
It's if you're not in the industry, it's pretty cutthroat. If you didn't have that family money or that guaranteed to your contract and you're on these little private tier teams, it's fucking stressful. Dude, that's why I have these grays in my beard, dude. Like,
2 years, 2-year
it's
contract doesn't mean
unbelievable.
anything.
It means
if you ain't-
nothing, dude.
Like, it's
Loyalty
tough.
means nothing to people. So end of 2018, I got nothing to lose. I'm fucking over everybody. I'm over what I've learned in the motorcycle industry is talk is cheap. You know how many promises I've heard from people? That's why I have trust issues. You know how many promises I heard from people? Like, hey, man, we're going to give you this. Or, hey, man, you're going to get the factory bike. Or, nope, you got this ride for sure, man. You're done. It's a done deal. Never happens.
Yeah.
It's like talk is cheap in racing.
Dude,
Well, I feel like
I
people.
feel
I feel
that.
like it's
it
also-
makes
feel
you
that.
like you meet the coolest people in the pits and you actually meet the biggest shitbags.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy, and
Yeah.
I'm just being straight real with people, the listeners
And it's
here.
tough, though, because it's easy to talk, and it is.
Flapping those gums, bro.
I
is easy.
feel
Yeah.
what I mean. Corey probably knows better than anybody because he's run programs, like full on race teams, like how difficult it is, and so like it's very, Corey would know like more when somebody's talking the level. You actually know how much you've put the credit card down. Like like I don't that like it ain't adding up. But it is so easy to get like, ooh, there's like we're so I don't want to say like everyone's desperate, but like
Hopeful.
we're
Everyone's
so
hopeful.
like if anything in motorcycle racing, you learn that like that little glimmer of like light is so small, and you're like, ooh, that could be me. I could be a champion.
Yeah.
No matter what it fucking looks like.
Man, it's like, and like, meanwhile, you're at home training your nuts off, riding dirt bikes, riding flat track. Like, you just want to be the best person you can be because you could probably have the shot and do a good job. And it just doesn't happen. Like, it's just like, you're just stealing candy, from you as a kid, And so 2018, I'm rideless again. And at this point, I'm over it. I'm over racing. I'm over everybody. Call John Ulrich. By the way, I talked to John Ulrich multiple times throughout the year about rides. It's always like I've spoke to John for every off season for years, and it just never panned out. Finally, call him, John Ulrich. I remember it was like 8:30 at night. Call John. He answers. Bobby Fong. Hey John, are we gonna do this? Like literally straight. Like I am so straightforward with this guy. It was like, John. And I've always, if people who know me, I'm always super humble. Like I'm not, like everybody here is good. You know what I mean? Like I'm always super humble. I'm not bragging. I'm like, oh, I got this podium or I got this lap time. It's like, it is what it is, right? But I'm like, fuck it. John, if you want your 600 to try to win this championship, I'm your guy. I said, are you going to hire me? Straight up. It was something along those lines. Let me work on this, Bobby. I'll get back to you. 2 days later, tried to work it. Got the 600 ride.
So this is for 2019.
19.
So I was going for that ride.
Yeah. I straight up called him, and I wasn't like, hey, man, like, John, like, I would really be a good asset to your team. He's like, no, John, hey, do you want to try to battle for this championship? I'm your guy. I said, I'm tired of beating around the bush. I've been talking to you for years. This is straight up. I've been talking to you for God knows how long now. Can we make this happen? And it made it happen. Like, and it was a lot. Like, it wasn't just me making that phone call. Like, I remember like John calling Josh Hayes at the time. I was, working with Josh Hayes. So Josh Hayes had a good influence on it. It was just the right place, right time.
It's so
it's
funny.
all about that.
Well,
right
it's
place,
crazy
right
because
time.
like we were parallel.
Yeah.
Like however it was, because I was coming back from Europe then, and I didn't have anything, and I was talking.
Yeah.
And I remember I had a different approach. I was like, it's just funny because
I heard you were asking for money too, though.
Yeah.
I didn't for peanut. I didn't make any money.
I was like, I need 35 grand.
And that was probably the reason why I got hired, was because like, oh, this fucking guy's cheaper.
Yeah. And I mean, that was, and like I had
Yeah.
nothing at the time, and I was like, I'm not gonna not ride for anything. And at the time, I think, whatever. It's we need, like for me, I needed that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like it helped me on my path
Yeah.
to go whatever I did. But I remember those phone calls with them, with Chris. It's so funny because I was talking to JP, who was talking to John.
Yeah.
Hey, Josh Hayes is talking to
Dude, it was just, but I was just a cheap whore. Like I was desperate. You know what I mean? Like I was just a cheap whore. But at the time, I was also confident that if I didn't get I would race for free, because I started working for Piaggio at the time. I just remembered.
I remember
I was
that.
a scooter salesman.
Oh yeah.
Dealership, right?
No.
Or you were
I was a
sales rep.
sales manager.
Sales manager.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wait,
for
but
the Northwest.
didn't they say they you couldn't because you
So-
started?
So I got the job. So right when I knew that Danny Walker wasn't going to race anymore and have a team, I was like, fuck, I got to get a job again. So I started working for Piaggio as a sales rep. Then I was working for them, and that's when I called John. I was like, fuck, I got nothing to lose. I got a day job. Then it was, yes, I'd race for free. My direct boss at the time, he's not from the racing world. He's like some corporate guy, like worked in I think he worked for the Cat or whatever it was. But he was like, yeah, you could race. He didn't think anything of it. So I'm like, fuck, there's my in.
Thought you were club racing on the weekends kind of thing.
And I knew in the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't think this is going to go over well.
There's no way.
So, but I was like, that's all I needed to hear was yes. So the press release comes out. Suzuki, Bobby Fong, all this stuff. And it was like, get the call from HR. What are you doing? Like, Nope. Ken said it was okay. It was good. No, bro.
Not
You
good.
got to pick and choose. You can't race a Suzuki and work for an Italian company. You know, if people don't know, Piaggio is basically Vespa scooters, Moto Guzzi, Aprilia, all that stuff. But, anyways, back to making no money. Got a ride, but I'm like, fuck, this is my shot. Like, this is the team that I've wanted my whole career. Like, and at the time, like the 600,
Arguably, they're the best 600 team.
they are.
In,
They're the best
in
600
America.
team. Yeah, man. They put me
Were.
again, another group of people that put me back on the map. And Chris and John hired me. The 600 class that year was deep. I mean, there's still lap times at the, you know, Hayden Gill. I mean, everybody was in it. Like, it was really deep. The racing was really good that year. I mean, it's arguably the 600 this class this year is probably deeper than then, but yeah, anyways, did well for them. Got the Superbike ride won the championship.
But hold on, go back because you had a VIR incident. Is that this year where you absolutely, or was that on the Superbike?
No, that was on the 600. Yeah, dude,
at VIR, you going through the kink. There's pictures,
Just
video
wide
of you,
one,
the
yeah.
thing steps sideways, and you just
just go to the moon.
bye, dude.
It wasn't a lot of crashes.
But did you know that was coming?
No.
It just.
I mean, I've had that year, American crash. Let's just say, like, I always say this, like, I had a decent amount of crashes in America. You know, because you think like 5
GP.
crashes a year in America is a lot.
Oh yeah.
You go to MotoGP, they're 3 a weekend per
Yeah.
rider. It's like, so it's American, a lot of crashes.
It is
but
crazy.
Those
Yeah,
crashes,
were big.
Yeah,
I rode
they're
off
big
some
ones.
shit.
Was that the one at Pittsburgh too? The same year?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I feel like
And
that's your deal though. Like, it's either like
They're huge.
it's never, and it's always in a weird spot.
Yep.
Because I do some weird shit on the bike.
Dude, your
It's
bagger
always-
crashes are fucking big. Dude, the Laguna bagger crash was fucking insane.
It's always in the weirdest spots. Some weird because I just do things differently, man. I don't know, but I go big and I destroy shit. Well, at the time I did, you know, and when I got on the Superbike again, I probably had 4 crashes that whole season, but every crash I destroyed.
but they
it.
bankrupt the team.
Yeah, no, like, but every crash is like, and it's never. It was like on the Superbike, it was never a high side. It's always just a low side. But the bike goes ass over tea kettle in 87 flips.
Yeah, it literally somebody just goes like a coin, and it's just
I remember burning down a Superbike from John Ulrich, and he comes up to me before qualifying at the Ridge, and I burned this thing down to the ground. It was hotter than hell at the Ridge. It was an odd place to crash. I tucked the front. The thing just catches flames. All right. And I remember him going to me. He was like, "You just cost me." I forget the number. And I'm like, fuck. In my mind, I'm like, I do feel really bad, but John, why are you coming up to me before qualifying? Yeah, or it was a race or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn. I remember.
I had one of those with John Ulrich when I first got.
I love
a thing.
John, but-
He goes, "Don't crash my bike," and I'm like,
Well, it's a business for everybody, man. Like,
Yeah.
I get it. Trust me. Like, I get it. Like, they're doing everything they can to be here, and they're one of the longest standing teams here. Like, it's a business. You gotta, if you have this knucklehead just writing shit off, it's like, I understand. I would have that pep talk too, but as a racer, I know that
What do you
we're
think they
delicate
feel like
flowers.
now?
Yeah, we're delicate flowers now. So
I mean, Atlanta they had 4 bikes completely rode off.
Last weekend too. I
it's a bummer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the shame thing
It's a
about
bummer.
racing is you go in and it's whatever. But so the big Superbike guy, you do pretty well on it. You get 2 years out of that, and then it's like the bagger thing, right? You kind of go back to being
Yeah. So
like
that,
jobless after. Again, it sounds like a theme.
No,
Oh.
yeah, no, it was. So I got the Superbike ride, won the championship 600, did great in 20, won some races, won like 3 or 4 rounds on the Superbike. 21, I had did good one weekend, struggled one weekend. It was just like a big up and down season. It was just a tough year, like for the team, for myself, for the whole program. It was just tough, and it's tough financially for everybody. Anyways, then I got the job at A-Stars, got the baggers,
got
and
us.
they paid me a little bit, but it wasn't, the baggers paid me, again, I'll tell you right now, they paid me $2,500 a weekend to show up, but I still had A-Stars.
Yeah,
I still had
covering
A-Stars.
like hotels and stuff like that. So it was good, and then plus
And the
bagging
contingency.
was great.
Yeah, but this was when I was getting when I got on the bagger deal, I was promised a factory bike. I know better. I know better.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna get the right shit. You're gonna get everything. Go up to Daytona. It was like, fuck, I'm 15 mile an hour down. What are you talking about? I got the factory stuff. You know?
You're just not tucking, Bob.
Yeah, it's like, dude, I know. Anyways, did the bagger. Baggers progressed. And then, you know, I was still working on A-Stars. Got clipped from A-Stars because I chose racing again. And yeah, man.
So what do you think about it racing and what are this addiction that we have? Like, what is it that kind of continue to bringing you back? Like, why is it just something because we, you know, like, what is it? Like, have you ever thought
about it all the time?
I'm like, why do we like?
Well,
I
how
almost
about this?
retired in 19.
Well, how do you feel when you don't race?
I feel,
I'm asking you, like, how straight up, like, if you don't have a ride that off season, let's just for example, like, you go into off season, you're like, fuck.
but
I might not race again. You
we've
know
all,
the feeling.
yeah,
You
but
know
we've
the
all three have made a decision not to race, like with the team. Like you did it with Alpine Star, I did it with real estate. You did it, and you just ended up starting your own team.
Yeah.
Like, but we've all made a decision at some point, and we went, all right. Like I physically went, I'm not gonna actively seek a full-time ride. Whatever happens, happens. You did it with A-Star. We all kind of made those decisions. And to be honest, it was like the best decision I ever made. Cause like now that I just like, I mean now, right. Yeah, like factory Harley and there's more pressure, but like those couple years it was like, I'm only going to ride a good bike. And if I don't do it, like whatever. Like
I feel like half. So, and this is my opinion, like my personal opinion, cause I've lived it. I feel like once you accept not racing, you're going to be a better racer. Like once you accept like, man, I'm not racing. Like my whole career is always like, man, I better do good or I better make this money or one, I'm not going to have a ride or one, I can't pay these bills or I can't survive. The stress and how you ride under those circumstances,
horrible.
It is the worst fucking feeling in the world.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when you don't have racing, you don't have that. It is the worst feeling. Like you don't have an identity anymore.
I think that's the biggest thing. Yeah, I think that's like why people struggle with getting away from it is because like, especially if you didn't do anything else, right? Like you've done construction, you know you're gonna grind it out.
I was never good at any of it though. That's the thing. It's like I was, you know what I mean? Like I didn't have a proper trade. I'm just kind of just going with the flow, like just.
But I think people get so consumed with their identity being like, I've got to be this. I'm a racer.
Like that's your identity.
Keep doing that, otherwise it's like you're broken.
What's crazy is as well is it's big enough to make you feel like you're a little bit of a star, but you step out into the real world and you're just a fucking average.
Kay
Joe.
does that all the time. She's like, "You guys realize how small this fucking bubble that you guys live in? Like everyone here thinks it's like the whole planet." And then we went to the Indy 500 this weekend. And she's like, "This is really."
That's the shit, yeah.
But do you know what I mean? Like you step outside.
Well, think about it this
what's
way.
crazy is because I deal with these people in fucking real estate and these other agents, and I'm like you have everybody. We have a 1% mindset. Like we wouldn't have made it this long, grinding it out, not making any money, X, Y, and Z. Like we talk about all the time, and then you just like these other real estate agents, and I'm like, they have no idea who I am. I'm just somebody that doesn't sell any houses, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, but in my mind, I'm like.
You're an athlete. You're a professional fucking athlete.
I'm like, just fucking do your job.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just like trying to, it's like, so it's weird. It's a weird feeling.
Well, not many people know who are people who aren't athletes or do something for a living, like a sport or something like that, right? Think about this. When you wake up in the morning, what do you think about? Something with racing. What are you going to do better to be a better racer? What are you going to train? You're training that day, right? Whatever it is you're doing for training. I don't want to go to train today, but fuck, this is going to make me better on the motorcycle. Fuck, I don't want to eat this donut, which I really want right now, because it's going to make me a turd. You know what I mean? I don't eat that donut. I have the biggest sweet tooth. Everything is racing. Everything you do is racing. You know, it's just everything. You wake up thinking about racing. What are you going to do that day for training? That's going to make you a better racer. When you lose racing, what the fuck do you do?
Yeah, you lose your purpose.
Yeah.
What am I training for other than not to gain weight?
Yeah.
You know, like
it's
just
the biggest thing I struggle with is like why, like, okay, so you've been in the same boat. You've won a championship. Right?
Yeah.
at this point in my career, I'm like, it doesn't really matter if I win a championship. I'm not going to get a ride next year because I won a championship. It doesn't do anything.
It doesn't work that way.
No.
So it's
Yeah.
like,
you can just sell a little bit more money sponsorships. You can raise your price a
but
little
even
bit.
so then you're like thinking about it. And it's like, so what am I doing this for? You know,
You're doing it for yourself.
right?
At the end of the
That's the only
day,
thing you
it's
can
you're
come
doing
up
it for
with, right?
yourself.
That though is so hard to finally. I remember being in England in the scenario 6 races in, not having a ride and not being able to sleep, eat, do anything, so stressed, not have anybody to talk to, like just hating life. Like showing up to the races just like if I don't fucking do it, like I'm not going to get, you know what I mean? Like just
It's the
I
worst
don't know.
feeling, dude.
Like I hate to say it, but you're like selling, like you're just selling everything. Like you're just
yeah.
like whatever it takes
Yeah.
to find it.
And you guys, honestly, I got to give you guys kudos, and a lot of people in this industry on selling themselves. I never been big on that. Like, I'm just not good at it. I don't know how to sell myself. I don't know how to promote myself, and you guys are so good at that, and I envy that because that's this day in the game. You have to do that,
It's everything.
and I mean, half of it is like how you get sponsors. Fucking sell it. You know what I mean? How many views you're gonna get? What are you doing for this? I'm not good at it. I've been terrible at it from day one. Everybody knows me. I'm terrible at it. I accepted that. It is what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But just not having the rides, man, like in the off season, it's like, what are you doing it for? Like Corey said, you're doing it for yourself.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you're
It's
just
so
doing it for
crazy to come
yourself.
of age, but like it's that old cliche. Like I wish I knew this at like 21. I mean I remember like those 2013 when I was riding the Suzuki and against the Graves bikes, and I was just like the first. It was me and you. Like you were on the
Yeah, you were
Triumph,
killing it.
dude. But
You're-
we were like
yeah.
the 2 only guys non-Yamahas 5th or 4th every weekend. And I remember Barry Gilson and coming into me and going, James, write the thing off if you have to. And I'm like, already about to like fucking lose it because I'm like,
yeah,
dude,
yeah.
I-
Oh, that's all I needed, bro. Yeah,
I'm
that's
like-
all I needed.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
dude, literally, I'm riding
Yeah.
so hard and getting smoked every weekend. You know what I mean? Over the limit, and it's like, it's so difficult to just make that. Like, I wish I would have had like some of that. Like, dude, it's gonna be all right. It
That-
just never felt
no,
okay.
it's not.
you know?
And it's just a fucking terrible feeling. You were mentioning, I was gonna tell you something, I forget what I was gonna say, but it was fuck, I don't remember now. But anyways, it'll come up later. I forget what I was gonna say, but it was something to what you said earlier.
About not knowing why you do it.
Yeah, it was something like that about not knowing why you do it, and I don't
Yeah.
remember, but yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I think about that stuff a lot, but just because of how much time and energy goes into it, and like the negative side of it. When things are going
Yeah.
good, it's like why wouldn't I stop doing this? But when it's bad,
Yeah.
it's like
That's what I was gonna
It's
say.
really bad.
You said you don't know why you're doing this. Like, oh, I could win a championship and not get a ride. You know what kills me is you see, like, you watch, you obviously you race motorcycles, so you're a fan of all 2 wheels, right?
Yeah.
So you watch World Superbike, World Super Sport. These fucking guys will go to round 1 of the season, get pole, get first, whoever it is. I'm just giving you an example. They do jack shit all year. Nothing.
Get a ride.
Factory ride.
yeah,
How did that happen?
Yeah.
So it's weird how it works. Like all they need to show is that even in Moto 2, Moto 3, they'll show that one flash of brilliance, and the whole teams believe in you.
Yeah.
It's such a different
yeah.
way here.
It is different.
And honestly, I'm jealous. I'm hating on it because I wish it was that way here.
yeah. I think a lot
You
of it's
know?
just there's such lack of opportunity here, and
Yeah.
to go back to your point about people who are like full of shit, and I think it's a lot of it is just like everyone has mostly good intentions here. Like nobody's out here to like pull the wool over your eyes and tell you that you've got an opportunity and then it's gone. It's like they truthfully want to give you an opportunity. It's just
Yeah.
they're full of shit that they have the money to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just a different
I think,
way.
it's and I think a lot of it's just the fact there's no corporate money in America either. So it's all like
Yeah.
some guy's pocket, and when that pocket goes dry or somebody else's pocket runs out of money, then
You've seen it. You've
Yeah,
seen it.
all
I
the
mean,
time.
It
you
happens
see
all
it every
the
year.
time.
Every
I
year.
mean, we see like big money people come in and then just vanish. But I kind of want to sidestep and go back to some sort of, as we're getting into some mental stuff, right? Because you've always been growing up as like people, you've always been on the mental side as far as trying stuff, having different things. Like we were joking earlier about having the magnets on your arms and stuff like that. You've always either been at the forefront or been in doing some sort of I would say it, weird things.
Yeah.
Not normal. And I always everybody, kind of was like, oh, Bobby, like he's always doing something weird. And you've always had amazing speed. But sometimes you've had amazing speed and then sometimes you've been like nowhere. And we've always said like here last year, like you just fucking checked out. Like, where the fuck did that come from? You know what I mean? You've always been able to kind of do that. What, I guess, starting first is like the magnet thing. Like, what the fuck was that?
I've always been a big believer in snake oil. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, I've always been a believer in that. I'm big on the mental side. Is like, if you believe in it, it works. I've had, I contribute a lot of that stuff to my trainer who used to train Fred Merkel back in the day. This is the guy that actually helped me like be as fit as I was. Even to this day, the dude had a doctorate, is my trainer for my whole life until COVID, passed away during COVID. But when I was 14, I started going to this guy, and he was a big believer in everything. The dude had so much knowledge behind him: magnets for arm pump, the kinesio tape, the fucking snake oils, the mindset, the sports hypnotherapy. Like, I did it all. I've tried and did everything I can to try to be a better racer, to try to make my body better. Everything there is, I've probably tried. You know what I mean? And it was a lot I had to contribute to him because I believed in him. He was my guy when it came to nutrition. Like, he was everything, like the mental side, like gnarly was in the war, all that shit. Anyways, I contribute a lot of that to him. My dad wasn't a big believer in it. Like, my dad's just like I said, just fucking get it done. You know what I mean? Like, whatever it was, my dad was like a part of that, aside from all that stuff. And then throughout the years, not many people know, if you're dealing with, and I'm not putting the blame on anything like that. It's just the reality of things. When you're on a privateer team, not everything is perfect. You don't have these notes from last year. You don't have these special parts. A lot of my career is either on some off-brand motorcycle that nobody's on, or some new team that barely started. So one weekend, yes, we might get it right. The bike not break. We might find it. And then half the time you're trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? It's just like the bagger last year. Mechanical first session, second session, third session, fourth session, first race. Oh, the bike worked for race 2. Oh, we're good. We're checked out. It's like that's just been kind of it's like this black cloud, around me at all times, like, and there's no pointing fingers. It was just kind of the reality of things, and I kind of just accept it. Honestly, you just keep going. That's the thing. You just keep going. You just, because I don't need to prove anything anymore. That's the thing. That's what half of it is now.
Did you like going through that? So you say like a lot of that was, kind of dictated on teams and some like
a lot. Me too. Like it was.
No, I know. Just having the right,
the
right package. Did like the mental side. How did you get through some of that stuff? Like, did you battle any sort of like
all the time
depression, dark cloud? Like you talk about that. Like how is that?
Well, when you're not surrounded by the right people in teams, as a racer, as an athlete, as of anything, myself, I struggled with a lot. Not much in today's world, because I've kind of, just got over that side of things. You start doubting yourself. When you struggle, or even it could be something wrong with the bike every weekend, right? I dealt with this since my M4 days, my last Superbike on M4. You start struggling with the mental side of things. Like, hey, is it me? I know this bike is not running right, but is it because of me? You just start believing things, and it affects you, and it'll affect anybody, most people, like it is hard. Like when shit just goes wrong, continuous times, like you just start believing like maybe it's me. And that's been a constant struggle throughout my whole career. It's like self-belief. You have the speed, but then when something goes wrong, like all the time, it's like, fuck, maybe it is me. Maybe I don't have it anymore. Like I said, nowadays, like in the past 4 or 5 years, I don't really deal with that side anymore because I don't need to prove myself. Like I know I have speed. And I don't need to show. I'm not going to get a factory ride.
Yeah.
I know that. I'm just doing this for myself. I'm doing this for my family. Like I'm trying to make money and succeed for myself to be a better person for me. So
Yeah, I think there's probably a bit exactly how you explain it. It's just freeing, probably, right? Like it's like as soon as you get past that, and the same thing I think for me, James has got the factory ride, so can't really say anything about him. But you know.
Yeah, dude, I went through a long time of, thinking that I was going to get a factory Yamaha deal or the Graves bike or the, like I went through a lot of that too. Like everywhere I went, every 2 years, Jordan shuts down, this gone,
But tell me
TTC.
this: the grass isn't always greener, is it?
It isn't, and I mean,
Everybody wants these factory rides, and they get to it. I don't know really, but this is what I hear: the grass is never greener.
I mean, the guys I have now, I mean,
Yeah.
I gotta say, like the Harley thing has been amazing for me. I think I came in at the right time. I don't think 21 James Rispoli factory Harley would have worked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I think of more seasoned,
We're old
understanding,
dogs, dude. We're old dogs.
but understanding the bigger picture, understanding that like we're here to sell motorcycles. Like, yeah, we got to win races, but like we got to sell bikes.
Yeah.
And that's big, and you got 5,000 people going to work every day, and you've got to respect that.
Yeah.
I think that's something I would have never. I just hated to get second.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I would be pouting on the fucking podium like a little bitch if I got second, and that's something I don't do anymore.
We're all sore losers. I'm the biggest sore loser. Like it's not like I'm throwing a fit or anything. But
Dude, at Coda, this guy was a sore fucking loser. But I told you, dude, I was gonna tag you the fuck back, didn't I? From Atlanta, I was gonna tag you back.
Yeah, but I never take it on. Like I'm
No.
not telling a rider that I'm a sore loser. I'm like
Yeah.
I'm not giving you shit or something like that because we all race hard.
Yeah, you
and
just beat up on yourself later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm my worst critic.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I am my worst fucking person. Like I'm just upset.
Fuck,
man.
it was a
Like,
good race.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was-
just upset. But it's not like I'm not pointing fingers or like,
Yeah.
oh, fuck this guy. Like James should have opened the line and gave me that position. I'm not that guy.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
trust me. But yeah, I'm pretty hard on myself. We all are.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think so.
Well, we got to take a break here. Give a thanks to our sponsors, Law Tigers, again, America's motorcycle lawyers. They are basically here for anybody who has an issue on the street, whether or not you're injured, whatever the case is, get into an accident, you want some legal advice, give them a call, 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, absolutely free, no charge whatsoever. They're here to get you guys back out on the road and take care of you, make sure you're riding safe and riding protected all around.
You never ride alone when you're with Law Tigers. 1-800-LAW TIGERS. And we're going to move straight into our Law Tigers tech tip. Bobby, you've been around the game a long time. This could be anything. So this could be like tech tip on leathers, whatever, like helmets. But like, what would you, if somebody's starting riding or who's already riding, say is, an A rider at a track day, like what would be a tip for them?
I mean, the basic 101, straight up. Check your damn tire pressures, man. Get a proper tire gauge. Check your tire pressures. I don't care if you're not running slicks, if you're on DOTs. Check your pressures.
That's
Tighten that helmet.
Where do you get your pressures from?
Dunlop, man, of course.
You gotta go to Dunlop.
Dunlop,
All
of
right,
course.
there
We
you
gotta go to Dunlop.
Goodunlop.com.
Yeah, goodunlop.com.
Okay, cool. Well, we appreciate that, and
Yeah.
hopefully you guys out there like these tech tips. It's
Yeah.
But, like,
everyone
Dag-
could use some tips.
I just say, like, just going a little bit deeper in that, that is something that you don't even think about, and it's the only thing touching the ground.
Yeah.
Like, when you think about it, it's the only thing that's, like, touching the ground. If you're off by 5 PSI, your whole bike's going to be different, and it's going to be in a different operating temperature of the tires, especially if you go with something like a Q5 or...
Not
you
all
know,
tires are equal. I think a lot of people, some guy yesterday at the track day was asking me, he's like, what tires should I have what tire pressure should I run in my tires? I'm like, I don't know, dude. I don't know what tires you have. Like,
I mean,
it's
you go
such
from
a
a-
big variability.
a Dunlop to a Pirelli or a Metzler,
Street to slick, et
and
cetera,
running tire warmers, no tire warmers, like
Yeah.
everything is different. So you make sure you talk to your tire representative, whoever you bought the tire from. Don't just ask your buddy to the left because he probably fucking doesn't know either. So
No,
talk
he's
to
That's my tech
somebody,
tip.
yeah.
Don't listen
Yeah.
to your buddies.
like,
Yeah.
like go
Come from a
somewhere.
valid source.
Yeah.
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 It changed the game.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I love it. I appreciate that. I wanted to ask, obviously you've been through many iterations of American road racing. What do you think has been the best periods that you've been a part of? And like, what are some of the, I guess, takeaways from each one of those periods that you wish you could kind of like build your own series out of type of thing? Like obviously the DMG area was a shit show.
Yeah.
MotoAmerica's doing a really good job of what they got now, but you were also part of like AMA
Yeah.
heyday before it collapsed.
Yeah, honestly, I think MotoAmerica's doing a great job. And I feel like half the thing is the bagger class has really changed the game for everybody. I mean, when you go to a race weekend, who do you see fan wise? Bagger fans. You know, like I feel like MotoAmerica is doing such a good job, and they're promoting the bagger class and the factories and everything in MotoAmerica. And I'm not just saying this as much as I've been poo-pooing baggers lately because of my own personal problems. It's changed the game, really. You know, it really has. This weekend, we're probably gonna get record numbers with attendance, great weather, and Harley's backyard, and out of all different all the iterations through my professional career, I feel like what we're in now is probably the best it's been. In my personal opinion, I'm not just saying that; it really is.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to hear how many years, and even like there's people now who say like it's not as good as it used to be. But like you didn't make money back then either, and those were supposed to be some of the good years.
I don't make money back then, and I don't make money now. There's no difference.
But with that being said, I think
make money now. But
I think it's a lot easier to make money now, more so because
Yeah.
you can make money yourself. Where before like you were 100% reliant on the teams, and a lot of the teams are like, very strict about having logos in your helmets and all that kind of shit. Where now it's like, me, I can go out and sell my helmet. And because of social media and videographers and stuff like that are accessible, like you can get a little more creative if you want to put in the work, which a lot of guys don't. But if you want to make money, you have the opportunity now, which whether people not realize that is kind of on them. But I think like, hearing you say that about that era of like I said, where people go back and like 2012, 2008, 2007, like, what do you mean he wasn't making any money? Like, how's that possible? Like, you should have been 12 years old making $1 million. It's like
I think there was just
I got a free ride. That was the win.
Yeah,
that was
you got the
win.
opportunity.
I got the opportunity to be on a professional team.
Right. I think also the difference is that there was an abundance of parts in bikes.
That is the big difference.
Like you were able to destroy bikes per weekend. You can't do that now. Like you can't every weekend show up and destroy bikes. Myself can't. Even though I ride for a factory, you can't. Like that's gonna get old.
They don't have those $20,000 swing arms on tap over there.
I mean, dude, they'll keep putting them on. But there's gonna be people getting angry. So all I'm saying is it's a different time now when parts are so expensive and scarce.
Yeah,
is the right. I don't know if that's the right word. Whereas back in 2008 and that, I remember showing up and, dude, you just wheel another bike out, another bike.
Well, I think it was a different time too. Is like it's by any means necessary. Where now it's like by any means till you destroy enough shit. And then we gotta dial it back.
We gotta dial. It's
and
always that case.
And getting paid turns into a sour team real quick.
Yeah.
Like it was. I think back then it was the European way of smash it until you win.
Yeah. And I'm just gonna throw this out there. I'm kind of going all over the place, but. Talking about like crashing stuff and just like racing for a team that's always worried about a budget and all this stuff. And as much as we've had some good luck this year racing for the Wrench ADR team, it's probably the smoothest, coolest environment that I've ever, any team I've ever raced for. That one is probably and I'm not just saying that, it's probably the number one team, as in like, just go out there and do good, man.
Yeah.
Like go out there and do good. With Robbie Peterson, my crew chief, and Dave, like they want to see the bike good. And if we crash the thing, they'll rebuild it. Probably won't be the same bike.
Yeah.
But they're gonna do everything. Yeah, they're gonna do everything they can. And it's such a smooth, calm atmosphere. It's just
and is that do you think that comes from like Dave, because Dave has kind of been in this spot the last few years, like 4 years, where he's run his own team for a long time, and he's kind of just been out there. He wants to get good results, but I remember him back in the day, like really chasing it. And do you think that comes from the top, like being chill? And then the other thing is what kind of bike are you riding? Are you riding a Stimboli?
No, nothing. So
because you started with that, right?
Yeah. So it comes from the top, actually, from the wrench side. It's Tana and Jamin, who is Wrench Motorcycles. And racing for them, it's really cool because they're our title sponsor. They're a big part of this program. It's their team, and then Dave builds bikes and Nick and all that stuff. So it comes from the top and just the atmosphere and how smooth and everything is. But the work that is put into that Superbike now is completely different than what Attack. We had the bike. So basically, Dave got the bike from Attack in 2022. Right, they had their swing arm, their motor specs, all this stuff.
I remember you said you couldn't even ride it.
Yeah, so they would try to give me So I rode the bike the first time at the Ridge last year, and a lot of it was the attack bike. A lot of it was at the time. And they would give me the base maps and stuff like that. It was really hard for me to ride. Like the electronics are just way different. And they're like, yeah, you got to ride it like Gagne. You got to ride it like Gagne. And I'm like, fuck, okay. I'm like, I already do that, but I'm just different. I just apply things every different. It didn't work for me. We'll still use our gear map and all that stuff. But over time, Nick, along with Wrench Motorcycles, designed a different swing arm. We got a different tank, seat position, all that stuff. The ergonomics of the bike are way different. We still run like attack parts and all that stuff, and we still get like base maps and stuff like that from them for sure. Like big help. So our settings are way different. Our swing arm's different. Our motor specs are different. Our pipe's different. It's a different motorcycle. It is an ADR motorcycle now. It is Ozzy Dave's R1.
And built for you.
And built for me.
Now, okay, that's interesting. So, and you've had some really good success with it. Kind of moving with that, what led you down the riding style that you have to now? Because I would imagine in 2008 you didn't ride as like this. Like you're very point and shoot. You're always up the inside. You turn. It's
Supermoto.
It's almost like you put the kickstand down, go. It's very interesting.
A lot of it, people always say like, oh man, you have that bike set up to do that. Yes, I do, but it's not the bike. It's something I feel in my ass and why I can't open things up. I have no idea why. I contribute a lot to it as my dad with a stick out when I was a kid and Supermoto. Like Stockton Fairgrounds riding Supermotos. Everything's point and shoot. Hold the gas on as long as you can, fucking brake as hard as you can, point it, and just go. Like I still ride that way. Make everything as short as possible, the track. Yes, it's a disadvantage at some places for sure. I don't get the runs out of the corners always the same. But I contribute that to my Supermoto days, a lot of it. And I've always kind of ridden that way, but it's just kind of got more in that direction. I don't know why. I don't know why. I ride a motocross bike the same way. It's weird. I don't know why I don't open things up, even on the motocross bike. Like where I should be like flowing a little bit more. Like I'm not just like blowing things out, but it's just like I'm more straight to the inside. Like my lines are always so different on a dirt bike to a flat track bike, supermoto bike to a road race bike. They are always different than the next guy. It's just something I feel in my ass why I can't open it up. Like I just can't do it.
Yeah, it's interesting because you've made it work, but it's I literally
definitely I see it sometimes. I'm like, there's no way that's gonna be fast, and it actually ends up sometimes being faster.
Yeah, like dude, the shit you were doing at Coda on the bagger was like, no way. But like, dude, you get in there, like, yeah, I don't.
So it's not always the fastest on a new tire.
Yeah.
On a new tire, but I've noticed over the years, I could 100% guarantee you that my style is going to be better at the end of that race.
That makes sense.
Because you don't have that grip to open it up. You just don't. But I can still do it. I can still stay on how I brake and pull up the bike, but still go to the apex of the turn. I'm not moving around. And that's just what I've gathered over the years of me talking about it. Because people always ask me, like, fuck, why do you ride that way? Open it up. I'm like, dude, I thought I was opening up quite a bit. No, I'm serious. Like even Dave tells me, he's like, yeah, man, you need to open that thing up.
Like the last turn at Barber every lap last weekend.
Dude,
you just stuff
like getting ready to just clean somebody out on the inside. I'm like,
dude, it's not faster. It's not faster. Yeah. But honestly, I sacrifice some speed doing that. But sometimes I make it work.
Yeah.
This place, you would think like,
it's impossible to do that, but
fucking made it work last year on the bagger. I don't know how, but I've won my first Superbike race here doing that.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't think at Brainerd of all places
that
you could do it, and you make it work there.
Yeah, it's just cutting off a lot of real estate of the track and just how I apply things. Like I said, I don't know if it's better. It works for me at the end of the races though. Like at the end of these races, I know for sure, like in my mind, that my style will work better.
And does it?
That's just in my mind, though. But if I believe it, it's making it work. So
well, most of the time, a lot of time it does. A lot of the time you're the fastest guy out there at the end of the race.
But I'm not. Yeah. So, but it's just my belief.
Do you think that like, how does it feel to be on the wrench bike? And I mean, whatever Barber, but Atlanta, I was really impressed because you were on the back of that big group, and I mean, there's some amazing motorcycles, good riders. Like you've rode with the riders a lot now, like all those guys, but there's some great bikes out there now. Like there's those BMWs are factory, the Ducatis factory. I mean, Sean's is like another Alpha Bikes factory. Like when we say factory, I mean they're coming from the top.
No, they are coming from the
So
top for sure.
it's like, you're on a privateer, going against fresh attack and doing really good things. Like, how's that been? Like, are you putting some more emphasis into the Superbike now? Like, because before it was kind of like you guys are just off. You'd have a couple good races, but now you're like,
Fuck,
you're
we can
in
win
it.
this thing.
I
Yeah.
know, like you're in it, dude.
Like, I feel like half of that too is my crew are all good racers. Think about it. My data guy, it's a hell of a racer at Chuckwalla. Just a good racer in general. Understands it. Rides the bike. Still rides the bike. I'm like, dude, you're riding the race bike this off season, putting all these miles on it.
Yeah.
But he's dude killing it. I mean, Corey
Yeah.
races again. Like, dude, he does great times. So Nick, Dave, super bike rider, super sport rider, great rider, still racing. Robbie Peterson, son's Cameron Peterson. He raced, champion, multiple race wins. Everybody behind me is a racer. So you got to think now you have all these 4 racer minds behind this one program. Think how things are.
Yeah.
Think about it. Like most of these Stamboli, I'm not sure. Like obviously he's the brains of the operation, like, but did he race? I don't know. Did he? I'm asking you guys. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm not
know.
sure. Like, you see these data guys from Ducati.
Yeah.
Did they race?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It is interesting.
I feel like it's kind of it is cool. Like,
You guys
yes, you
have
got all these
built-
factories,
yeah,
but
but
we
you guys
built this
built-
program with racers. We have that racer mentality. We have the like mindset, It's
And you're-
crazy.
Yeah, and you're having a blast.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's good. Like, I'm still giving 100%. I've always given 100% whatever I ride, obviously,
yeah.
but I believe I have a lot better shot this year for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know about Road America. Those damn Ducatis and BMWs are pretty fast, dude.
Yeah.
But I've done well here, though. Like, man, how I break the bike, I don't know. I've done well here with less. So, yeah.
Richie Escalante talked with us a couple weeks ago about just kind of like how that feeling of being with a team who's just stoked to be here has a lot different of a vibe than when you're on a factory team or you're on a team like M4 where the expectation is like, okay, we're one of the top teams, you've got to get a result, versus like, if you get a result, great. If you don't get a result, but you're in the mix, whatever the case is, great. Like, everyone's just great because you're here.
Yeah.
Is that kind of the same type of thing with the wrench team? Like, there's not really an maybe now there's a little bit more because you're actually starting to consistently be up there, but do you feel like there's no expectation necessarily? Everyone's just stoked with any outcome that's somewhat positive?
It's just a different way. So if we have a bad race, like last year, nobody's upset. It's not like, yes, we want to do good, but it's not expected.
Right.
It's not like, fuck, you got 5th or 6th or whatever it is. Like, man, it's just a different feeling. Like, everything's cool. Like, especially like working with Robbie Peterson. It's like, yeah, we're going to do everything we can to try to be better the next weekend. But there was never like that pressure of like, fuck, man, you have to do good.
Right.
Which is, for a racer, is the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, 100%. And you probably, in your mind, you're like, okay, if we do this again next year, great. If not, whatever.
Yeah, like, dude, it's the best feeling in the world, man. And it's just, like I said, it's a good environment. You walk into those pits, everybody's smiling. Everybody's working their asses off, and they're going to do the best we can. But, like, if well, you guys know Nick and Dave. They barely talk.
Yeah.
Like, they don't
Very
talk
funny
much.
vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's really, but it's always mellow.
Yeah. And for people that don't know Nick, we've grown up around Nick, but Nick is just some kid from California that club raced, and he's got like an engineering degree, and he's just a super smart kid, right? I mean,
Just a super smart kid. And
which is super cool. Like, when I wish people could get a better look at, and I know you guys are doing that MotoAmerica deal, right? This year where they follow you around, so hopefully people can get a better look. But like, kind of how grassroots in a way everything is. The fact that
Yeah.
like, you know, it's Nick and his brother Holler's like your tire guy. Or
They're
whatever,
opening
you
up
know?
a little bit. Like Nick is opening up. Like
Yeah.
he's talking a lot more these
Yeah.
days. Yeah.
But it's super cool just to
Yeah.
know, like, I mean, he's not very old. Like, he's a young kid, and like the stuff he's doing.
Yeah.
and
How old
coming
is he?
up with.
27, 20, if
Yeah,
that?
he's younger
yeah.
than us. For
Yeah.
Sure. So it's super cool. What about, and you might not be able to speak too much to it, but I think it's interesting for people like Wrench, for example. Obviously, I'm not even sure if they're a dealership or just a shop or what they even do. How does that work, and how do you like? How do you think they're justifying that investment? Because I'm sure they're spending a good bit of money.
Jamin is the Wrench Motorcycles. He has a shop in LA, but a lot of fab work, build stuff, like a lot of custom stuff from scratch. Like the dude just loves motorcycles. Him and his wife just love the sport. And you know, I can't tell you why they love the sport, but I know that they're getting a lot more excited these days to seeing their name and stuff a little bit more mainstream, you know. Being in the Superbike class and doing pretty good with that brand I could see the excitement, you know, from them, and it's good because we need them in this sport. We need more people like that to help these guys who need a shot, or you know, to help the whole racing program in the US, you know, like obviously you know, the success and just being on the podium helps out everything. Obviously,
for
if you just keep getting your dick kicked in, you know, you mean like you obviously you don't really want to do it that much anymore, you know. So
Yeah.
obviously success is a big help, but they really do love it.
So it's
Like,
just a passion project.
it's just a passion project, man. So
Yeah, I always think, you know, people like them, for example, like from like a marketing perspective, like how do you get more people like that involved and get them to understand what like the ROI or like
I feel like it has to be in your blood.
Yeah.
you know, I feel like you get these money guys who are like, oh man, I'm gonna, you know, get my name out there. I'm gonna make some money. I don't think you're gonna make any money
nobody
doing
makes
this
money
thing,
racing.
man. I feel like it has to be in your blood for them to stick. You know, like the Ulriches, you know what I mean? They always grind to be here, like, but it's in their blood.
Yeah.
Been doing it their whole lives, you know, like it has to be.
Yeah, but I think like
engraved in
I think
you.
though, like, all right, so you take somebody like Geico or somebody big, you know, Mission. For them, it's not an ROI. Are we gonna sell more tortillas?
Yeah,
It's
and
more just about, are we gonna take all these people and have them buy our tortillas? Because they already have the market share. They already own it. You know, like Geico, and you're gonna take all those people that were progressive. You know what I mean? And now they're just going to be Geico because they want to support the series.
Well, I don't know, man. Everybody's running that mission sticker. We might be making them broke, dude. You're getting that mission sticker. How long are they going to be here with all of this?
Bro,
money
did you
they're
see them?
getting?
They were in an Indy car now.
I know,
Yeah, they've
dude,
been in
it's
IndyCar.
great.
Dude.
It's honestly, it's great for the sport. It's great for
Dude,
us.
Mr. G's a legend.
I get a little bit of mission money too. It's great.
Mr.
So,
G's a
yeah.
legend. You see the he's got the
Yeah.
old, they got the sandbar
Yeah,
over
yeah.
here.
Yeah, it's
Road
great.
Yeah,
America.
I just mean more like really true private. You know, like that's not a big company. Wrench is not a big dealership.
No.
They're not
No.
anything really. I mean, it's just I know what it is because I know personally, but for
Yeah,
people
yeah.
on the outside, like,
Yeah.
you know, it's
They're just people who love the sport, man.
yeah.
Like that's, I feel like that's what we have in the U.S. of these people who are these smaller teams. They're here because they love it.
Mm.
If like you come in these pits, and yes, it's like high school drama, and you know, everybody wants to beat each other. Everybody's your friend one minute and hates you the next. But we're still here. Fuck, we're still here.
This is you two over the fucking winter.
I do.
Me and Bagger Bob's 6 month hiatus.
We beefed it for
For
solid.
and you weren't even beefing. That's the best.
No,
part.
it wasn't even beefing. Corey
This
came
guy
up-
was
yeah.
dead to me, dude.
No,
I was so fucking mad.
Yeah, remember Corey was like, "Yeah, man, what's up with you and James?" Like, honestly, I have no problem, bro, but keep it going. Remember, I was like,
Yeah,
"Yeah."
yeah.
Such a
Remember, I
dick.
told him, I was like, "Yeah, dude, don't
You're
tell
such a
him, bro. I'm
dick.
not mad at all." But
I was so mad.
he was on a flight for
He was
6 months
upset.
straight.
It's
yeah.
really easy to get him spun up though, dude.
Oh,
I
dude,
was
yeah.
so
I
bad,
I would
dude.
call him.
You called me one
Call
time.
him and I gotta call you back.
No,
I call.
You
I hit
called
him
me
up.
one
Right, oh, I'm
time.
on a flight, and then I wanted to write him like a month later. Yeah, man, that was a long flight you took, bro. Yeah.
No. It was about some Cali gig, and I was like, "All right, Bob." Like, yeah, I was on a flight. I forgot to. Call
No,
you
that
back.
was last year in the middle of the year. This is another occasion, bro.
Whatever.
It's
No.
been a lot building up
And
to
then,
this point.
and then
I
the
can
second
feel
one,
it.
yeah, dude.
the second one
The
was about the
heat is coming.
Dainese thing.
Yeah.
He called me. I was like, "Hey, man, I'm on a flight. I'll call you as soon as I land." And that's the last I heard from Bob
Ever.
ever. And then he was like, "Hey, we should get
Now-
Bob. We get Bob on
He
the
won't even call
podcast."
you. He's like, he doesn't even have your number
I
anymore.
know, yeah.
He's like, "We should get Bob on the podcast." He's dead to me, dude. Like,
Yeah, what's
he'll
not
fucking-
going on?
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know if he'll do it anymore.
It's so funny.
Did Bo
Segueing-
ever talk to you about it?
Oh yeah, dude. I had multiple sources come up to me and was like, "Yeah, bro, what's up with you and James?" I'm like, "Nothing, bro."
Yeah, just tell him.
like,
I was like beefing.
like, yeah, we're
Um,
beefing.
I wanted to ask just about your thoughts on your career and a little bit of the reoccurring theme with like having to go through this cycle with rides and whatnot. Do you attribute that to anything? Is there anything you like, you know, can say that you feel like is a cause for that in any type of way? Like,
I feel like in my younger days, a lot younger, I feel like the tattoos were a thing.
really,
Yeah, I feel like because I was. I know James had his tattoo on his arm for a long time, but I feel like I was the one that came out with the sleeve immediately.
so
At
like
a
the
young
bad boy
age.
vibe. Everyone was just scared
Straight
of the bad.
young
Really?
age. Like, dude, I've had this thing since I was like 17 years old.
No way.
Like,
Huh.
a long time I've had tattoos. And just straight off, I mean, yeah, I think that has something to do with it a little bit. And man, rumors start. Like, there's been, dude, I've heard, man, these pits are. They're great and so terrible in so many ways. I mean, if you bring me back, dude, there's been rumors about me about just dumb shit. Like, not even relevant. Like, I'm not going to talk about it now, but like, there was rumors about me in like 2009 or 2010 about some stuff. And it got brought up again years later. And it's just like rumors. And you know how rumors here in the pits, like you tell one fucking person, everybody knows. There was this rumor started about me, and it was a terrible rumor. And I'm like, man, I can't believe that's a thing. Like, somebody's actually said that and twisted this to this.
Mm.
So I think a lot of it has to do with just like the toxicity sometimes in this pits. Like, I mean, you know how toxic these pits
Yeah,
are.
it can be
As
for sure.
great it is, as great as these pits are to be in, it is the most fucking toxic place you can be in.
It's like the
other than
number
high
one thing
school.
you can't do is leave the pit. Like you can't like as soon as you go from dinner to, it's just a rumor.
I just know nowadays, like being in the pits nowadays, like I have a lot of friends. No, you know a lot of people from being here, but you know who your friends are and you know who your acquaintances are and you know who are just be like, hey, you're my friend, but you're at arm's distance.
Yeah.
I gotta watch everything I say around you because that's half the reason why I don't have social media anymore. You know what I mean? Just the drama, man. Just the fucking drama here.
Did you ever like growing up like beef with any like team owners, or did you have any riffs with anybody? Like,
No, I've said a lot of things to people because if people who know me, I speak pretty freely about a lot of things, and I've hurt a lot of people's feelings, and people hurt my feelings. You know what I mean? That's just a part of the game. But I lived and I learned, and the older I get, sometimes it's just better just to don't say a word.
Yeah.
Just keep
easier
taking
to
those
just
licks.
Keep going.
You know, like I said, man, this happened. I mean, I hope Gary Gray doesn't hear this, but I mean, I was on Gary Gray, the boss of Polaris Indian. I was on his bad side for a while because I said some stuff to him that I wanted to say because I was getting promised something and something wasn't happening. And that's one thing I don't want people to do is lie to me. And I'm not saying he was lying to me at
Right.
all. I'm not saying that. But I opened my mouth and I said something that shouldn't be said to somebody like that. And, but it had to be said.
just makes your life difficult.
It made me feel better at the time though. It means nothing. It means nothing. But yeah, there's been incidents like that where I'm like, man, like when I see something happening, it's hard for me to just keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, bite your tongue.
Yeah, like as much as now I'm older, I'm just like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah. But that's age.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just an age thing.
Yeah.
So,
So you think at a younger age though, it was a little bit less of the case. Maybe some things
yeah,
said.
maybe shouldn't have opened my mouth. Honestly, I'm just kind of trying to gather stuff now. Like I have no idea, really,
Yeah.
to be completely honest.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know any facts, but I'm just saying that some of the stuff that I've done and seen over the years, like maybe everything.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck, it could be my looks.
Yeah.
Just the face.
Yeah.
Just don't have the face, man. Yeah.
Could be
So,
the
yeah.
half Chinese.
Yeah,
what-
just
what
the
are you-
face.
what were you
I don't
saying
even know
before?
what I'm just a mutt, dude. Just everything. So
Just a mixture.
yeah, just a mixture of everything, bro.
if you guys are out there really bored one day, just Google Bobby Fong, see what comes up.
Yeah, the Chinese butler. Yeah, yeah.
We did it last night, dude.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, what? You don't even have. He stole your Wikipedia.
No, he's the first one. Pops up butler.
Boom.
Yeah,
It's kind of crazy.
yeah.
But yeah,
The only other thing I wanted to get into before we wrap it up was just like life now a bit. Obviously, like you're saying, you're getting a little bit older. Not
you're married.
not too antiquated, but you are
Married.
married.
You got
Yeah,
married.
Yeah.
And that was tough.
Yeah,
That was
dude.
tough.
Honestly, I mean, that could be a whole podcast just in general on that side of things. Got married. Long story short, married now.
Yeah.
Live in Southern California in a shoebox still.
But you're on the water, right?
I am on the water.
Yeah, you
I
guys
am
got
on the
Gucci.
water.
He's got a Gucci spot.
But I'm moving. I'm moving in 2 weeks. I'm moving up to Folsom, back to Northern California.
Oh,
Not
okay.
Stockton, going to Folsom. Bigger bang for my buck. For me to be a professional racer, well, working for Dainese, I don't have to go in the office every day, right? So I asked my boss, my CEO from North America, hey, can I move? Basically gave me the okay. I'm going to go to Folsom. To be a professional motorcycle racer where I'm at is pretty hard because for me to ride a motorcycle in general is 2 hours minimum. And yes, it doesn't seem that far, but when you're in traffic for 2 hours,
Yeah.
riding twice a week, it's just not. Gas prices, everything is just not feasible. I don't have a garage. I got to keep my dirt bike in Orange County, so I got to drive from LA to Orange County, and then Orange County to wherever I need to go, which is another hour and a half, 2 hours. And then after the ride, I got to drop it off, wash it at a random car wash, drop it off back at the warehouse, and then go home. So I leave my house at 6 a.m. to ride motocross, and I'm home at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
That's a tough day.
And you got to do that twice a week to be, I mean, for me to be mentally fit for motorcycles, I have to do that. I have to ride a motocross bike if I'm home twice a week. Help my arm pump, just riding. So that's half of the reason why I'm moving up north. So yeah, anyways, I'm married. I'm going to move back up north in 2 weeks to Folsom. Life has calmed down. I got a cat. She's lovely.
What's her name?
I call her Kitty, but her name's Daisy. Yeah.
Where I was going with that is you obviously raced a lot of years,
Yeah.
you know, bachelor life, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
How much different is it now with just kind of being locked down, having a marriage, you know, someone else to think about?
It's
Obviously,
less
that's
work,
a big,
man. You're trying to you're being the playboy of the pits for so long. It's a lot of work. Dude,
That's what all the grades are from.
it's a lot of work, man. Jason Pussy. Honestly, that's I've calmed down over time. It's been a long time, but it's good, man. It's chill. You know, I have my person, which is great, and I don't need to worry about going out there and going on these random dates and going on Tinder or whatever and having this crazy one night and worried about, you know, your wiener in 2 weeks. So just you can cut that out. But just life in general is a lot.
We don't edit these, by the way.
Yeah, just straight raw. But no, it's
Is you
cool.
enjoying it?
I'm enjoying it. It is nice as she is my person. And like I said, it was a big struggle to get her in the country because she has, you know, she's from another country, and to her to get in the States, obviously James knows all this mess
visa
that we have to
stuff.
deal with the government and stuff like that. So it's been a big process during COVID times, all that stuff, getting her here. And then just keeping her here and then getting her green card and a work permit. And it's a lot of money. It's a lot of work. So she better be worth it. She better be worth it. You
You'll be
know?
working that day off for a while.
Yeah. So
Do you feel like you have a little bit of different perspective on like responsibility, or like, you know, now you have to take care of somebody, whether or not that's your relationship or not, but like in the back of your head, you know?
100%. Honestly, to be completely honest, half of the reason why I have 3 jobs, 3 incomes is because of her. Because she can't work right now because she moved in the States. So I'm supporting myself in Southern California and another person. And I don't just want her to just have a you know, mediocre life. Like, well, oh, hey, you can't go get your nails done today, or hey, we can't go eat. So like half the reason why I'm killing myself doing these 2 classes. I don't want to do 2 classes. I really don't. It's really hard on me. And doing the job on the race weekends, as much as Dainese is pretty a smooth job, like I have everything pretty down now, It is a lot for me.
Yeah, fuck
Dude,
yeah.
it really is a lot for me. And I don't want to do it, but I'm doing it for her because I don't want to have that. Like, hey, we can't go out to eat tonight. Or, hey, I can't, we can't have this date night or whatever because I'm strapped down on, money or whatever. So I'm not saying I'm making a lot of money, but I'm going above and beyond, not just for myself. Like, I want to make sure she has like a smooth sailing in
Yeah.
the U.S.,
Yeah, for
Does she
sure.
like it in the U.S.?
She does. There is times where she misses being in Canada and stuff for sure. Like, obviously her family's still there and all that stuff, but
And it's tough because she's stuck. She can't go back.
She can't go
until you get a work visa or
Yeah.
a green card or whatever red card they call it.
yeah,
Like she's got to prove that she wants to be here. Essentially, is what the government says.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's tough. Yeah, it's really tough.
What's your thoughts on kids? Obviously, coming from a big family, I think we talked about it a little bit before. But is that like also big picture? Like you're like, I got to start.
kids for sure in the future.
Baby
Baby Bobby.
Yeah,
Baby
little
You gonna
Bob.
call him? You gonna
Bobby
call him?
Jr..
You gonna call him Little Bob?
No. Nah, kids are definitely in the future. Not in the next year or two. I want her to, get her career up and
Yeah,
going
get a
because
life
it's
going.
been because it's been on pause for so long dealing with the COVID mess, and then she couldn't work during COVID and go to school during COVID. It was just a big mess from COVID to now. So I want her to get the ball rolling on that because obviously if she's with child, she can't
Yeah,
really
yeah,
do shit.
yeah.
So
And then from there, like, would you have this life for your kid?
racing?
Yeah.
No, he's gonna be a golfer or something, man.
Yeah, smart. Smart is where the money's
yeah.
at.
No, honestly, it's whatever they want to do, but I'm not gonna. It's I've learned a lot
Yeah.
of life values from racing and met a lot of cool people, and I wouldn't take it back. But I would like for my future kid to go to like finish school, as in like get a degree and do something like that instead of the stressful lifestyle of racing.
Do you think that's interesting? Like that's your perspective, being that that's not the life you lived or would live if you could do it again.
I think every father would want their child to be better than what they did and didn't want to struggle, like want to go through the stresses and struggle of life. They want their kid to succeed in different ways or go above them. You know what I
Right.
mean? I feel like as much as I want racing to, obviously be a part of my life and my kid's life, I want them to go above that. You know what I mean? To be a professional racer and making a lot of money is pretty rare.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard to come by. You know what I mean? Especially in the US. So yeah, just do something that I didn't do, be more successful than I am. Not saying I'm successful, but just be better than what I am.
Yeah.
That's what my dad
Yeah.
taught me. So yeah.
What do you think about for kids, obviously having been through really like the full pipeline, because you've, after hearing your story, you've done it all from
Yeah.
a young age. What do you say for kids now that are like, I look at like these Twins Cup kids or Junior Cup kids, and it's just like,
I mean, you got
What advice do you
got
give,
her brother Jack, right?
Yeah, Jack.
Yeah, no, Jack's
I mean, he's right in in the worst spot and the best spot. Like it's a really tough time.
He's on a sweet deal. Jack's on a sweet deal with the wrench. Wrench is taking care of him. Like he is on a great deal. And I'm not trying to poo-poo racers in the US or families. Like I'm not trying to do that, but I will shoot you straight and I will give you the right answer and what I think is the right way or not the right way or whatever. Just give me my 2 cents. Being a racer in the US, if you don't have the goods, why do it? If you're not winning at your club level, dominating at your club level, why spend any money at professional racing?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Don't do that. And if you're at professional racing and your family is struggling to get you there, now it's a different story is if your family has it like that and they have all the money in the world and they just want their kid to have fun. But now if you're strapped and you're spending everything and your kid is getting 7th place in the Junior Cup class and you're spending every dollar you have, stay in school, kid. Like, and I'm not just poo-pooing it, you know what I mean? It's just reality. Like I can't, it kills me to see these families.
So do you think if your kid chose to go racing and you would
stop them?
You would stop them because your dad didn't with you. He kept putting it in.
He kept putting it in because he saw results.
I get it, but I mean, like, you weren't winning.
No, but my dad also stopped spending money on me when I was 14.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Yes, he still helped me out like at home,
Yeah,
but
got
like
to the point where he didn't have to do that anymore at 14.
at 14, like, dude, if you're not in the perfect world, if you're 15 or 16 years old and your family's still spending every dollar they have, you shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
But I think it's
I know
tough,
it's a
though,
different
because
now
it's
a
moved
different
on.
no, it is.
We're 30 and we're buying houses. We ain't 24 years old, 23 and buying
Oh
houses.
no, I know. It's
Do you know
crazy.
what I mean? Like
it's
the whole
crazy. It's just a different way of life for sure. Like it's just different deal now. But if you don't have the goods, don't come to professional racing. And I'm saying that in the most kindest, best way possible because I don't want to see a family struggling to survive to have their kid just to go have fun.
I think it's one of the only
It is,
sports
yeah.
though as well that like in any other sport you wouldn't be able to make it there. Because the coaches and teams, like if you play
They'd clip you immediately.
football, soccer, or
Yeah.
baseball, you would be in AAA or whatever they call it, whatever it is, the lower category, and you wouldn't get a seat. But here you can buy your way in. It's an interesting car racing.
Not even
this
buy
way.
yourself in. You can just show up if you want. And
Yeah.
you can probably
Yeah.
make the grid. That's my only gripe I think with MotoAmerica right now. Is just that it's just like if you want to elevate the whole sport at a certain point, you've got to make it a little bit less accessible.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and also deter people a little bit. Like it's there's something to be said for like making the cut.
Yeah,
If the cut's too easy to get to, then everyone can just show up. Then like, what's the prestige or
Yeah.
what's like
It's
the
fucking participation award.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and there's club racing.
Yeah.
And club racing used to be great at a national level because it was so hard to get here.
Yep.
Right.
So
Yeah, I mean, when you first started, like, I remember when I grew up, like, the Weir Nationals was a fucking, like, dude, if you weren't in the top 5 and Weir Nationals
was
top 3,
heavy
you
hitters there.
can't
Yeah.
even think about AMA.
Yeah.
You're so far off the pace.
yeah, dude, it's crazy.
You don't even make the cut.
And that's kind of how like CVMA, for example. But there's still people from CVMA that show
Oh,
up here
CVMA for sure.
that
Yeah.
come out and they're not even in the top 10. If you can't get in the top 10 at CVMA,
Yeah.
you shouldn't really be here.
100%. And that's these things like you see these kids coming up and it's okay, son. You know, you did your best. You know, and this fucker's getting 9th place, and I'm like, what the
Go
fuck
home
are
and
you
play with
doing?
dolls.
Yeah, go and play Barbie dolls with your sister. Like I said, I'm not poo-pooing on the sport. It's just
No.
it's just a reality of like I'm just from a different era, and I feel like if you don't have the goods, please don't come. And if you don't see an end result, like what is your goal here? Like every racer nowadays, like, and I feel bad because you see these guys, right? They're doing good in Twins Cup class, right? For example, and it kills me to say this. It really kills me to say this. The Gus Rodeos, the DeMarios, the whoever, right? They're doing great in the Twins class, right? Now what?
Yeah, that's
Now
Where
my
do
what?
they go?
No, like, what do you think? What is going to happen? The fact is, you got here on your parents' dollar. When is your parents going to stop spending money?
Well, that was always
That's
the
the
thing
goal.
growing
Like
up
that's the
was,
goal. Like
you
when are you going to
can't-
start getting paid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not unless you go to the 3-4 teams that pay you a little bit of money in Superbike or Bagger Racing. You
Yeah.
know, blows up extreme amount. What is the end goal for this? Like they still have to go get a degree. They still have to get a job. It's not like a professional. Like it's not like they're a proper professional athlete. Yes, they are professional in what they do, but for me, a straight professional athlete is like you got to succeed on your own without your dollar or your dad's dollar behind you. You know what I mean? You can't just. It sucks because that's where our sport is now. You know what I mean? You have all these family money and all that stuff. It's like you're doing great in what you're doing. You're fucking so good, but what next?
Yeah.
What team are you gonna go on that your
Yeah.
dad's gonna not have to spend any money?
Yeah, it's not
That's what
sustainable.
sucks.
It's not sustainable.
Dude, it's so unfortunate.
Yeah.
It kills me.
It's tough to.
I feel bad.
It's
Yeah.
a weird thing right now. I think a little bit too. Like I was talking with James about it. I think I talked with James, or it might have been JP. But you know, I'm out hurt right now, and I was looking like it could have been a little while. You know.
Yeah.
And so they started talking about like, well, who if we put someone on the bike, like, who would you even put on it?
Yeah.
You start thinking of the names, and it's like, well, you look at like a Gus Rodeo or a DeMar, like, but they're really young, right? And they also like, I've never been in a position to be on a real team where it's like, okay, like we got to actually
Yeah.
perform now. It's not just like a family deal,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, so talking with the team is like, well, we want like somebody tried and true. But then you go to the tried and true and you're looking at guys who are, you know, you or me or somebody who's like 30 years old. And it's like, well, that sucks because like I want to see a kid
You want to
It's
see a
like,
kid do good. You know
but,
what
like,
I mean?
what do you
Like,
do? You know,
it's
you
can't.
put a kid out there with, granted, you look at Blake Davis and he's crushing it and he's straight off Twins Cup. So it's like, yeah, maybe people just aren't taking the shots like they used to anymore because like
Yeah.
the money's so few and far between. And it's like, I don't want to take a chance on a kid who isn't going to perform.
Yeah, that's the thing is you want results now.
Yeah.
What is next? Like, how do you, and then we went to talk about Blake Davis on how he's, maybe we're not giving him a shot. And, I think there's a few that come up through the crop. But if you look at Blake Davis, he's still on the same team that he was with Twins Cup. That's the difference.
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
they've built an ecosystem around him, and he's done it amazing, and he's definitely got the goods.
Yeah.
But you look at like Gus Royer and his kids, they were all racing with Blake last year.
Yeah.
Like, he won the championship, but they were there.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I forget who I was talking to about this, but I feel like all the top dogs. I mean, if you look at MotoAmerica, BSB, World Superbike, how many younger guys are doing good?
Yeah.
Like, there's not many, dude. Like, most of the guys, and I feel like obviously GP's a different story. Like, GP's a different story, but like most people who are doing like good and successful, it's obviously like we're aging like fine wine here, man. It's just the experience. But it's taking so long for like, it's just all the experience. Now all the good riders, we're all older, man. Like there is not like a lot of younger riders who are good. Like you look at the bagger class, nobody's below 27. I mean, I think the youngest
Just
person is
Rocco.
Rocco. That's it. You look at the superbike class, all the top guys were all basically 30. Like
I think that's
other than SDK.
I think it speaks to the crop. Like the crop was so good back when we came through, and it's the crop that was in GP like that. Yeah, I mean, it's finally made the transition that they're saying that Marquez is the only one from like the 2019 crop left.
Yeah.
Mark.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And we think of him as a kid still.
Yeah.
But he's 30.
But I think a part of that is the Junior Cup and then Twins Cup, right? So it's like you got on a 99 R6 when you were 15 years old. How old were you? 14, 15?
Yeah, 14, yeah.
That was what you had to do. It's like, okay, we want to go pro racing. Like, we got to get a 600. So then you had, 10 years on a 600 before you even got on a super bike or 1,000, right?
Yeah.
Where now it's like kids have 10 years on a Twins Cup bike before they get on a 600.
Yeah.
I think that actually has a lot more to do with than people are probably contributing to.
Are you saying you think maybe that the lower classes are hurting the crop?
I don't know that they're hurting them. I think they
get stuck.
I think they get stuck
You mean
a lot
it's not
more
it's
because
sink or swim, dude?
well, it's a lot scary to take
Yeah.
it. Like if I think about it in my sense, I'm starting a team right now. Who am I looking at as a kid? Right, all these kids have been on Twin Cups. Like, I don't know what they're gonna do when they get on 600. They might suck.
Yeah.
And then you look at like
Good
Teague
point,
Hobbs
yeah.
was like kind of one that jumped up and surprised
yeah.
everybody. And I think it's
The problem is they're just not really able to show their real talent to the point where people are willing to take a chance. Whereas you had no choice where you were racing. We were on a 600 before you even got here.
You're racing all these heavy hitters as you're a
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah.
You're on the bike.
And even if
you
you
know?
suck, if you're showing a top 10 against those guys, okay, like we'll take a shot at you.
I
never
think-
really thought about it that way.
Yeah.
It is like if I was a team owner or something like that, like I wouldn't be looking at a Twins Club rider.
Right.
It's just I don't know why. I don't know why.
yeah,
It's just
it's almost
because you
like-
don't know, it's the unknown.
Exactly.
And
I think it's-
money's such
I think
few and
it's
far
like
between here.
if you have a team that has $1 million sponsor, which is scarce now, like they're like, maybe 3 on the fingers, like you're gonna pick somebody that's won something, has a championship, or won races, within the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I think marketability, I mean, is a big part of it now too, which I don't know that, like I know Gus has got his little thing going on or whatever the case, but there's not like a ton, there's no like personalities that are like jumping out.
He still needs to be built.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is
And-
part of the problem where it's like that's, I think, again, like MotoAmerica is doing a great job with having so many of these different things going on, but it's really hard to put the light on all this stuff at the same time, right? You got baggers and that's got a lot of, visibility. Superbike's obviously a big class. You got to make them visible, but then you got Super Sport, but then you got Twins Cup, but then you got
There's
like
so
how do
many
you build a
different
personality?
classes.
How do you
Yeah.
build
They
this?
kind of look the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, it's
it's tough to Junior Cup, Twins Cup. Like we obviously know there's a difference, but and I
You
think
look at,
as
like-
well though, like the cost of those classes is so much cheaper, like to continue to run that everybody's scared to make the jump because it's so expensive to run a super sport bike competitively.
Sort of. I mean, I think the next gen rules made it a little bit easier with the, you can run a stock GSX-R 750 motor for the whole year.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? I mean, the Twin Cup bike are not cheap either, to be honest with you. So it is. I think. I don't know. I think there's a lot of different ways to look at it, but that's my biggest thing. I think is that kids aren't kind of getting forced to that next level, and neither the families that are spending the money. Right? It's like if these kids whose parents are paying for everything had to pay for 600, they're gonna pay for 600 some way.
Yeah, for
Maybe
sure.
not all of them, but some of them, and
Yeah.
then those kids are gonna go, okay, wow, he's actually.
We were almost
You know.
forced to go in.
Yeah.
We were
Had to.
forced. Like you
Had to.
went Weir Nationals and you went to AMA and you either sunk or swim.
Yeah.
That's
And
it,
like,
dude.
and-
Or you just don't race at all. That was it. Like
And
you,
like
it was it.
we had a buffer of super sport, but it was like you had a comparable, almost same bike, and you knew if you had the lap times or not.
It's just a different era, man. It's just a different
Yeah.
era.
Well,
So-
Bob, we appreciate you coming on.
Thanks
We
for
got
having
one
me.
last question
Yeah.
for you. I don't know if you've made it to any of the ends of our podcast. If you haven't, then we'll find out right about now because you'll know it's coming.
Mm-mm. No.
So
Dude,
we
you guys do such long. Okay, listen. How long have
They're
we been doing
long.
this podcast?
this is now
3 hours.
yeah,
Two
it's
and a
2.5
half,
out. Yeah,
Mike, I only can
you guys
watch.
you're supposed to break it
What
up.
happened? No,
Bob.
I do. I fast forward a little bit, and then right when it comes close to the end of the video, where I see like the last few minutes, cut back.
That's
The
why
last
you don't
question's the
know.
big one,
That's
dude.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is awesome that you have no idea.
Yeah.
So we know you're lying.
Talk
but
to me.
All right, so you did some crazy shit. Whatever the case is, you're on death row in
Mhm.
jail. What's your last meal?
Who? Last meal.
Death row meal.
Death row meal.
Death row meal. I don't know, man. Have you guys had a taco truck burrito from SoCal before? I don't know. A taco
Some.
truck burrito is pretty damn good. I would say a burrito.
Just a burrito straight up.
Just fucking straight carne asada, extra cheese, beans and rice, a little bit of hot
little
sauce.
Doritos, or what are you drinking?
No, dude, it's just straight up Mexican Coke, man.
Yeah.
Just a Mexican Coke in a bottle.
Dude, that's clean.
Yeah, it's nice. A little bit of chips on the side.
Yeah,
I
my
can't
guy
beat
knows.
that.
My guy.
Bob's eating those off of death row. He had one yesterday before he flew out.
You can't go wrong with fucking California burrito, man. You
It
just
is
can't,
true.
dude.
It is true.
You guys
Um,
know.
Dude, thanks so much for coming on. We know we've had a couple little glitches here, but dude, we've been wanting to do this for a while, and I think we got some juicy stuff. And
Some juicy stuff.
yeah, I really appreciate you coming on, and best of luck, man.
Thanks, boys. Thanks for having me.
Get her done this weekend.
See you on the track.
Woof
Yep.
woof.
Yeah.
All right.